Have you ever imagined being reborn into a fantasy world, but not as a righteous hero, but as a hated villain? In Tame the Little Tyrant, our protagonist finds herself in this very predicament, reborn as an arrogant little witch destined for the guillotine. To avoid her tragic end, she's forced to change her fate by taming those destined to be the heroine's allies before they can become so. But can she alter her predetermined destiny? Let's explore this dramatic and humorous journey in Tame the Little Tyrant. The story begins with a jailer carrying a lantern, Vanessa and Kinemia Leon quietly following behind. The jailer thinks to himself, "Miss, are you really going to see him?" She coldly replies, "Yes." Hearing this, the jailer anxiously tries to dissuade her, but he's not someone you should meet directly, Mississippi. He's an unidentified individual who trespassed onto the air hunting grounds. Even when discovered, he was hesitant. He recalls the sight of a young boy covered in blood, drenched in the blood of others. The soldiers surrounded him, some curious, "What's this?" A child. They warned, "Hey you, this is Duke Lyon's private property." They threatened, "If you don't want to be arrested for trespassing, leave now." Ian Crotz indifferently tilted his head. "I thought I killed them all. There's still some left." He seemed slightly surprised. A guard was bewildered. "Wait, that kid?" He looked at the bloodstains on Ian's clothes, seeming to realize something unusual. He doesn't look like an ordinary child. The jailer felt uneasy. If he hadn't suddenly collapsed, I don't know what would have happened next. He reminded Kinemia Leon, "There's something unsettling about that boy." Kinemia smiled gently, her smile radiant as a flower. She replied to the jailer, "It's all right. I have a plan. Lead the way." The jailer obeyed. "Yes," Mississippi Kinemia politely said, "Thank you." Her radiant beauty stunned both the jailer and Vanessa. They shared the same thought. "We're the ones who should be thanking you. Our miss is the best." The jailer happily followed, reminding Kinemia Leon, "Watch your step, Mississippi." He offered, "Shall I carry you, Mississippi?" She quickly refused. "No, thank you." Vanessa, walking beside Kinemia, extended her hand. Then, "Please take my hand, miss." She agreed. "Yes, all right." Kinemia Leon lowered her eyes slightly, feeling apologetic. "I'm sorry for being so willful, but I must see him. There's a reason for all of this." She pondered. "I have a secret I can't tell anyone." Kinemia explained the reasons for her secrecy. "First, I was reborn as Kinemia Leon. Second, this world is the setting of the novel chronicles of Oldium that I read in my past life." She worried about the last reason. And third, the Kinemia Leon I was reborn as is destined to die. Shortly after I realized this truth, shortly after my father's death, Kinemia Leon, sitting on a luxurious, aristocratic bed, thought, "That dream just now, it was a memory from my past life." Kinemia realized with a shock. So, this is the world of the novel, and it's a boring novel, cliched to the core. She consoled herself, "No, now's not the time to think about this." She complained, "Why did I have to be reborn as this character of all people?" Her thoughts were interrupted by Vanessa's excited exclamation, praising Kinemia Leon. "Oh, my miss, you woke up on your own today. That's wonderful." The notorious villainess, Kinemia Leon. Her tragedy began with a family steeped in hatred. Kinemia's grandfather, Kenneth Leon. He frowned irritably, glaring, "Tell me to restrain myself. I'm cleaning up the trash you lot have spread throughout the empire, and now you want me to whisper." Known as the righteous thug, Kenneth Leon roared, "This trash dares to call themselves nobles. Prepare to die and atone for your sins. And don't forget to pay the ransom." He also had a hellishly sharp tongue. Kenneth purged countless corrupt nobles, but in the end, he was poisoned, another life lost to hatred. Kinemia's mother, Ilya Leon, held the title of hero of the empire. Ilya, possessing exceptional swordsmanship, conquered neighboring kingdoms one after another. But on a day no different from other victorious days, she was assassinated. A man fiercely raised the bow used to assassinate Ilya, shouting as he was restrained by guards, "Traitor to the nation, Dida." Another life lost to hatred. Finally, there was Kinemia's father. Troy Leon, the beautiful man, wept, "My dear, if you leave your father and me, then I—" Troy Leon fell into despair. His defining feature was his striking beauty. Troy relied on his lineage and God-given looks to secure his position as Duke, and with the lingering influence of his deceased wife, he decided to start a business to revive his family and protect his daughter. Troy gave his signature smile, and, as the host of the ladies' tea party, he gently proposed, "Ladies, would you invest in my project?" This made the ladies roll their eyes, thinking, how absurd. He touched his chin dejectedly, showcasing all his beauty. Is it not possible? The ladies couldn't resist, and quickly replied, "Yes, I will invest." With his capital-attracting looks, Troy succeeded in business, and a few years later, he was murdered. A crazed woman brandished a knife, screaming, "You stole my heart with that angelic face." And then what? "You sly fox, aren't you going to seduce me?" Troy weakened in a servant's arms, another life lost to hatred. Having lost everything, Kinemia, the villainess of the Leon family, who inherited her grandfather's ruthlessness, her mother's belligerence, and her father's beauty, was surrounded by malicious rumors. She tried to explain, "Ruthless? I'm not. I learned swordsmanship, but I've never hurt anyone. What's wrong with looking like my father?" But no matter what she did, no one was willing to stand by her side, and people continued to view her with malice. Gradually, Kinemia became twisted as well, growing into the cruel lord the rumors described. She was executed on the guillotine. Oh dear. Kinemia was disheartened to learn of her tragic end. She sat quietly in her chair, lost in thought for a moment, and then brought about by hatred. "I don't want to die." Vanessa, unable to bear seeing her so dejected, softly called out, "Miss." She took out a teddy bear and showed it to her with a smile. "Tajda, a present. It's from a faraway land, but the moment I saw it, I immediately thought of Mississippi. The rosy cheeks look so cute, don't they?" she whispered. Vanessa accepted the gift, her heart touched. She noticed I've been in a bad mood lately, so she's being considerate. Kinemia softly said, "I like this doll." "Thank you, Vanessa." She gently reached out and patted her head. "I'm glad you like it." Mississippi looking at the teddy bear in her hands, she suddenly said something strange. "Hey, it looks like a munchkin," making Vanessa curious. What munchkin, miss?" She didn't answer, only focused on observing the teddy bear in her hands, leaving Vanessa full of anticipation. Realizing something, Kinemia stopped, shocked. "I remember." She finally recalled a popular product from her previous life. The male protagonist luckily obtained a munchkin early on, and that munchkin helped him achieve glory and success. Munchkin refers to characters or creatures with absurd powers. In a normal world, she imagined the scenario of being able to command a munchkin. "Go, munchkin." This was Kinemia's personal thought after grasping a sliver of hope. Kinemia buried herself in the book. Let's organize the important information I remember from the original work about this world. If I can use them to subdue the munchkins before the male protagonist, I have a chance to turn things around. She earnestly made plans, paving a new path for her future. People like Ian, those who hold grudges against me, must be removed from the list first. Ian Crotz, a candidate for the Magic Tower Lord, a mysterious figure who always appears when a male protagonist is in danger. Kinemia felt somewhat helpless about the story in the original work. Among the remaining munchkins, he's the earliest one I can encounter, so it's indeed appealing, but also the most dangerous. Because in the novel, he helped the male protagonist send me to the guillotine. Ian, hatred danger level 10 out of 10. Afterwards, she was led by Vanessa to the Duke's castle. Kinemia calculated her mind, "I don't intend to greedily take risky gambles. For my well-being, I'll give up on those characters who seem dangerous." She recalled the main plot from the original work. Kinemia captured Ian, who was imprisoned in the Duke's castle, and treated him like a toy. She made up her mind, but this time, I'll be a little kinder to him, cleverly letting him go so that no hatred will arise. Descending to the dungeon, the jailer slowly opened the door and respectfully reported to Kinemia Leon, "We've arrived, miss." Stepping into the dark dungeon, Kinemia Leon saw Ian Crotz curled up, hugging his knees, sitting on a wooden board hanging on the wall. Ian Crotz hung his head dejectedly and said wearily to Kinemia Leon, who had just entered, "The Leon family's greeting is Leon citizens salute the wings of Leon, isn't it, Duke's miss?" Kinemia Leon retorted impatiently, "A duke is a duke, a miss is a miss. What's a duke's Mississippi?" Ian Crotz then explained, "Just trying to please you." She frankly rejected his gesture, gently instructing, "No need." Hearing her words, Ian Crotz, still with his head lowered, hesitantly asked, "Are you going to kill me here?" The Duke's miss is truly heartless, but he was met with Kinemia Leon's firm denial. no. Then she turned to order the jailer, release him. This order from Kinemia Leon surprised the jailer, who asked again, yes, you said release him. Despite being ordered to be released, Ian Crotz was still unhappy, even questioning Kinemia Leon. Humph, are you going to release me and then hunt me down like prey? Kinemia Leon asked back with an impassive face, what kind of person do you think I am? She slightly lowered her head, her voice a soft whisper. I didn't have the guts to kill Rikasa, that's all. Hearing the name from Kinemia Leon's mouth, the jailer was shocked and repeatedly questioned her. What? Rikasa, isn't that the second in command of the Magic Tower, Mississippi? How do you know about this? Ian Crotz remained silent, looking up at her without saying a word. A moment later, he opened his mouth in bewilderment and softly asked Kinemia Leon, how did you know I was Rikasa? She simply replied vaguely, it doesn't matter. After ordering Ian Crotz's release, Kinemia Leon also left the cell, instructing him, don't get caught again. Free from Rikasa, Ian. She laughed cheerfully and exclaimed, yes. I've completely severed ties with Ian, gotten rid of a worry, and I feel so much lighter. A few days later, Kinemia Leon stood speechless in the dim cell. Ian Crotz was sitting in the cell once again, even cheerfully greeting Kinemia Leon with a smile. Hello there. Seeing this, Kinemia Leon couldn't help but question her life, roaring, why are you here? Ian Crotz buried his head in his knees, complaining I got caught again. Another day in the cell, the jailer kindly handed Ian Crotz a delicate piece of cake. Kid, want this? Even though imprisoned, Ian Crotz still opened his mouth to ask, is there anything else? Yesterday's cake was delicious. The jailer kindly explained, that's a cake we only have on Wednesdays. Hearing this, Ian Crotz reached out and took the cake, muttering, is that so? Then I'll really look forward to next Wednesday. The two were so relaxed, and Kinemia Leon witnessed it all. She shouted excitedly, wait. Furious, she gritted her teeth and roared, are you going to get caught again next week? How many times has this been? Kinemia Leon recalled the time she had asked him, caught again. Ian Crotz always replied, nonchalantly, again, and this scene had already repeated 7 times. Even this time, Ian Crotz still carelessly argued, but the cake is delicious. At this point, Kinemia Leon could only sigh helplessly and wearily ask Ian Crotz, do you have any resentment or hatred towards me? But Ian Crotz, while happily chewing on the cake, casually asked her, hatred. Have we met before? Kinemia Leon crossed her arms and hesitantly replied, how could that be? Ian Crotz also agreed, confirming, so we haven't met, huh? The conversation returned to the starting point, and Kinemia Leon raised her voice again and roared, then why do you keep getting caught? Ian Crotz casually asked her, miss, I heard you're recruiting guards. That's what the jailer here said. Kinemia Leon was furious after hearing this, her gaze piercing as she glared at the jailer, thinking, you told him. The jailer, receiving her terrifying glare, couldn't help but tremble and admit his mistake. Ahem, sorry, miss. At this moment, Ian Crotz casually said, so I want to apply to be a guard. Ian Crotz placed a hand on his chest and smiled as he informed Kinemia Leon of his intention. Hearing this, Kinemia Leon threw out a bunch of reasons trying to dissuade him. You're a Casa. The Magic Tower's work must be very busy. How can you be a guard? Ian Crotz still replied with an arrogant smile. Not very busy, because I'm too talented. Kinemia Leon clenched her fists in anger again and found another excuse to try and scare Ian Crotz away. Guards have limited rest time and have to follow me all day. It's tiring. But he even cheered excitedly. Wow, that sounds amazing. Then Ian Crotz even threatened her in return, if you don't let me be one, I'll keep getting caught. Don't worry, hee. His words stunned Kinemia Leon, greatly surprising her. She pondered to herself, why is this guy always like this? What is he planning? Ian Crotz seemed unwilling to give up, still smiling with curved eyes, looking both gentle and harmless as he watched her. Seeing that she couldn't dissuade Ian Crotz from becoming a guard, Kinemia Leon thought with frustration and worry, this is tricky. What if I drive him away and make an enemy instead? Finally, Kinemia Leon had a compromise I must endure. Then Kinemia Leon hurriedly added a condition, only until your injuries are healed. But just Kinemia Leon's agreement made Ian Crotz let out a long cheer. Wow. Kinemia Leon had no other choice but to silently say to herself, keep him by my side and monitor him for now, and drive him away after his injuries are healed. She affirmed in her heart, it must be this way. Not long after, Ian Crotz was accepted as Kinemia Leon's guard and followed her back to the castle under the surprised gazes of the two maids. The maids saw Ian Crotz leisurely walking behind Kinemia Leon and whispered to each other, "Is he Mrs. Newgard?" One maid blushed slightly, looking at their backs, and replied somewhat dazedly, "Yes, I heard he's Ricassa. He's quite eloquent." Her words made the maid on the right exclaim in surprise, "What? He's already a candidate for the Magic Tower Master at such a young age." The two began to gossip, embellishing the story. Yeah, he recently trespassed on the territory and was locked up, but Miss recognized him as Ricassa and immediately released him. So he was so moved that he volunteered to be Mrs. Guard. After chatting for a while, the two maids couldn't help but admire Kinemia Leon, using Ricassa as a guard, as expected of our Mississippi. They watched Kinemia Leon's calm and confident demeanor and praised her again and again, and that composure in the face of rumors, truly worthy of the Duke's daughter. So impressive, Kinemia Leon. She listened to the gossip, her heart already weary, inwardly complaining about where these groundless rumors originated. Just then, a maid's respectful voice suddenly called out, "Miss Kinemia Leon." A maid hurried forward, handing a bag of pastries to Ian Crotz, and thoughtfully said to them, "You're heading to the meeting room, right? These are cookies I baked for you. Have something sweet before you go." Kinemia Leon looked up at the maid and smiled sweetly. Thank you. I'll enjoy them." After delivering the pastries, the maid excused herself. "Well then, I'll take my leave." Kinemia Leon politely waved goodbye with a smile. "Yes, see you later." Ian Crotz stood beside her, holding the pastries, silently looking down at the bag he'd just received, and then Kinemia Leon watched, dumbfounded, as he tossed the bag of pastries straight out the window. She gasped in surprise. What are you doing?" Ian Crotz replied calmly and concisely, "I don't really like them." She glared at him, her voice full of reproach. "If you didn't want them, you could have just said so. Someone went to the trouble of making them for you." Ian Crotz tilted his head, looking at her mildly. "So?" A look of genuine shock spread across Kinemia Leon's face. He's a sociopath, she thought. Kinemia Leon walked ahead of Ian Crotz, a sense of unease washing over her. This guy is really not normal. He's dangerous. She broke the silence. "All right, let's go to the meeting room. We're going to be late." At that moment, a notification popped up. The atmosphere in the meeting room was heavy. A man in a blue shirt, seated on the left, spoke gravely. "Perhaps it's time to prepare." The woman opposite him asked suspiciously, "What are you talking about?" He slammed his hand on the table, gritting his teeth. "That title, the Grand Duchy, it remains vacant. Is the Miss to forever remain a mere duke?" The woman opposite him frowned, her voice rising. "His Majesty hasn't approved it yet. What can we do?" She continued, "Besides, accepting that title also increases responsibility. It might be a burden for such a young lady." Suddenly, a voice rang out, catching their attention. "I disagree with that sentiment." The person continued, "The Duke's daughter is so intelligent, with a photographic memory. We cannot underestimate her because of her age. I will follow the Duke's daughter's wishes." The discussion continued. This isn't something that can be decided by going back and forth. The Leon family's standing in the Empire has also greatly diminished. Just then, the meeting room door opened softly. Everyone in the room noticed and looked toward the door. A loud voice announced, "The Duke's daughter has arrived." Kinemia Leon and Ian Crotz entered. A lady in the room thought in surprise, "Is that the rumored Ricassa?" She hesitated. Today, Miss didn't bring her nanny as usual, but Ricassa. How strange. Kinemia Leon glanced around softly. "Everyone's here, right?" Ian Crotz, standing beside her, watched her silently. As she stood in the room, a strange feeling washed over her. Why does the atmosphere seem different today? She wondered. Kinemia Leon was lost in her thoughts. After experiencing so much, she seemed to have realized her position and responsibility as the head of the Leon family. Before, the number of retainers was small, and all decisions were left to them. She clenched her fists, trying to reassure herself. "Now that I have my own plans, I can't always act like a child." Everyone in the room looked at her in surprise. It was time to show the dignified demeanor of a master. She stood there, silent for a long time. Kinemia Leon whispered softly, "Chair." Standing next to the imposing, towering chair, she seemed so small. Looking at the chair in front of her, she fretted. It's too high, she realized. Kinemia Leon hesitated in front of her seat. Someone in the room was about to stand up, and she quickly said, Duke's daughter, let me help you. But the person next to her stopped her, hurriedly whispering, "Shoo." Today, the Duke's daughter didn't come with Vanessa, but chose Ricassa to accompany her, and her attitude is completely different from usual. Why do you think that is? The whispers below hadn't stopped, because now, as the rightful head of the Lyon family, she wanted to prove that she could do such things herself. Kinemia Leon stood there, her expression tense. I can hear everything. But she encouraged herself. That's right. Vanessa always helped me onto the chair before, but from now on, I have to do it myself. If I have to cry for help just to sit in a chair, then I don't deserve to be the Duke's daughter. This thought motivated her. Kinemia Leon pressed her hands firmly on the chair. She jumped up with all her might, her eyes full of anticipation. At the same time, she cheered herself on. Go for it. Everyone below watched anxiously, and they cheered together. Wow, go for it. Go for it, Duke's daughter. She practically collapsed onto the chair, relieved that she'd finally managed it, but the cushion betrayed her, slipping down and taking her with it. Startled, she thought, She sat on the floor, clutching the cushion, as everyone stared. Silence filled the room. Everyone frozen, stunned by what had just happened. Kinemia Leon sat awkwardly on the floor, on the verge of tears. Those below averted their gazes, pretending nothing had happened. They feigned interest in other things. We didn't see anything, Duke's daughter. That's right, I was just looking out the window. The Duke's castle looks beautiful today. Slightly surprised, she asked, really? Just then, Ian Crotz approached and gently helped her up. He lifted her into his arms, and Kinemia Leon turned to look at him in surprise. He gently placed her back onto the chair. Meeting her surprised gaze, he said coldly, I assumed you wouldn't be able to climb up there yourself. The retainers below grumbled. Humph. The Duke's daughter is perfectly capable of sitting on a chair by herself. That's right, her legs are just a little short. One of the men spoke up indignantly. The Duke's daughter is a fairy. She may be smaller than her peers now, but after she molts, she'll be taller than everyone else. He imagined the Duke's daughter molting and transforming into a young lady. Someone objected, no matter how cute the Duke's daughter is, don't say such things. What fairy? The man immediately explained, only those with pure hearts can see a fairy's wings. That's why you can't see them. Another person angrily questioned, wait, are you implying my heart isn't pure? Ian Crotz and Kinemia Leon could only watch in silence as the argument escalated. The bickering continued. Exactly. If the fairy wings don't appear, it proves your soul has darkened. Kinemia thought exasperatedly. Enough, this is getting more and more embarrassing. Finally, unable to bear any longer, she spoke up, please stop. The early morning town scene was peaceful and relaxing, a sight to behold and enjoy. The stalls bustled with people coming and going, buyers and sellers creating a lively and energetic atmosphere. Kinemia Leon and Ian Crotz stepped down from the carriage. Kinemia Leon looked around, exclaiming excitedly, wow. It really is market day, it's so lively. They turned to bid farewell to the coachman. Kinemia Leon said, well then, we'll be off. The coachman replied, yes, Mississippi. We'll wait here. Please be careful. Entering the market, Ian Crotz watched Kinemia Leon searching for something. Curious, he asked, so what exactly are you looking for? Kinemia Leon replied, a shop with a frog-shaped sign. The blacksmiths? I have my eye on gather there. Ian Crotz was surprised. Blacksmiths? Are they the craftsmen you mentioned at yesterday's meeting? She answered simply, yes. Back in the meeting room, Kinemia Leon, seated in the chair, announced, this time, I want to use the materials obtained from the sea monster to make slime toys. Someone asked, puzzled, slime toys. Kinemia Leon explained, yes, they're soft and squishy, fun to squeeze. The children in the territory will probably like them. She quickly added, I already know a skilled craftsman who can make them. Is that all right? Applause filled the room. Tears welled up in the eyes of the retainers. Choking back emotion, they exclaimed, the Duke's daughter is already thinking about business matters. How wonderful. She truly is the overlord of the slime world. A voice cried out, overlord. Back in the present, Ian Crotz teased. So you mean the blacksmiths will help this little troublemaker become the overlord of the slime world? Kinemia Leon said bashfully, don't tease me, Ian. Contrary to her stated plan, she thought to herself, what I really want to commission isn't slimes. Ian Crotz continued to inquire, but miss, do you really have to go find them yourself? You have plenty of subordinates who could do that for you. She simply said coldly, I have my reasons. She instructed Ian Crotz, so, if you see a frog-shaped sign, let me know. Ian Crotz looked at her, puzzled. Kinemia Leon continued her search. She muttered to herself, confused. Where is it? If I remember correctly, it should still be on this street. She squeezed through the crowd, repeatedly saying, excuse me, please let me through. She sighed softly. There are so many people, it's difficult to move around. She thought to herself, I have to be careful not to get lost again. Then she turned back to look for Ian Crotz, asking anxiously, Ian, are you still there? Looking back, she couldn't see Ian Crotz and froze, bewildered. Panicked, Kinemia thought he's gone. Where did he go in the blink of an eye? She frantically looked around, calling out, Ian, where are you? Kinemia Leon looked around blankly. A voice came from behind her. Little one, are you looking for your companion? The stout man smiled kindly, pointing in a direction. If it's a boy with black hair, I saw him go that way. Confused, she simply replied, ah. Kinemia Leon was jostled by the moving crowd and suddenly remembered to thank him. Thank you for telling me. He responded, oh. Be careful. The man led the way cheerfully, saying with a smile, there are so many people. Let me clear the way for you. This road only goes one way. Just keep going straight and you'll find him. She replied listlessly, thank you. The city bustled with activity, crowded with people and towering buildings. Kinemia Leon silently followed him to a secluded street. Reaching a dead end, she sensed danger and uttered suspiciously, Still following the man, Kinemia Leon felt extremely perplexed, wondering, isn't this place a bit too deserted? A sharp sense of unease washed over her. Feigning a smile, she tried to slip away. Excuse me, sir, I think I left something back on the street. His large hand grabbed Kinemia Leon's slender arm, preventing her from leaving. The man's expression gradually twisted into a lewd leer, and he threatened in a low voice. Where do you think you're going? Kinemia Leon's eyes widened. She recognized the human trafficker before her with a shock, fear mixed with surprise. Struggling to shake off his hand, she shouted, let go of me. Rubbing his wrist, he scoffed, oh, this little girl is small, but she's quite strong, huh? Kinemia Leon put some distance between them. Huh? She questioned, confused. She took a defensive stance, holding a wooden stick, and sternly warned, stay away from me. I'll hit you if you come any closer. Undeterred, the trafficker scratched his head and laughed heartily, exclaiming, oh, how cute. He sneered, what's with the broom? Are you planning to sweep this whole alley clean? Maintaining her defensive posture, Kinemia Leon thought, this is bad. Tightening her grip on the broom handle, she worried, I was so distracted by Ian that I let my guard down and naively followed this trafficker here. If I act like a lost child, the situation will become even more dangerous. The trafficker took a step closer, trying to soothe her. Calm down, little one. Be careful not to hurt yourself. I'm a man of letters, you know. I don't want to use force on a child. Kinemia Leon snapped, shut up. Her jade-like blue eyes turned cold and sharp, like an assassin on a mission. She said in a low voice, I told you to stay away. The trafficker chuckled, amused. What a feisty little brat. He leered at Kinemia Leon like a predator on the hunt, his gaze heavy with menace. He said coldly, I'll teach you how to speak properly. Bracing herself, she stood firm, her expression unchanged, while inwardly cursing, Ian Crotz, you idiot. The city was beautiful, birds were flying, but beneath this peaceful scene, Kinemia Leon seethed, he begged to be my guard. So where is he now? Ricassa seemed to sense something and observed more closely. The talking bird cursed, Ian, you bastard. Ian Crotz also noticed something and looked up. Ricassa scolded angrily, you only contact me when you need me. Huh, so you were here. He sat casually on the church roof, thinking confidently, I knew you'd come. Ian Crotz looked down and smiled slightly. You came just in time. Look over there. Ricassa landed on his shoulder curiously. Below, she was confronting the human trafficker. Ricassa recognized her intelligently. Is that the girl you were talking about, your research subject? The one without magic who recognized you as Kira Shaw? He replied, yes. Ricassa was suspicious, so I can't sense any magic at all. Or did you meet her somewhere and accidentally let it slip? Ian Crotz retorted smugly. Would I make that kind of mistake? Ricassa stammered awkwardly. Well, no, that's not like you. Glancing back at Kinemia Leon's situation, Ricassa asked doubtfully, but hey, isn't that kid in danger? He said nonchalantly, Yeah, it looks pretty dangerous, huh? Ian Crotz said casually, I also suspect she's hiding her magic. But it's interesting that she's using a broom like a sword in this situation, isn't it? He thought to himself with amusement, this is really something. Ricassa was shocked and cried out angrily, you idiot. What are you just sitting there for? Go save her. He said slowly, calm down, all right, I get it. In this tense moment, she heard familiar footsteps approaching. Ian Crotz appeared like a prince from a painting, saying reassuringly, I've come to save you. Mississippi Kinemia Leon was stunned, her eyes wide with disbelief. She scolded Ian resentfully. Where were you? He just smiled apologetically and admitted softly, I'm sorry. I am sorry. Ian Crotz snapped his fingers. The trafficker gasped in pain, his mouth opening wide, and cried out, Ag. He clutched his throat, unable to speak, his only thought, I can't breathe. Ian Crotz stood coldly, his eyes wide. Kinemia Leon was astonished by this scene. The trafficker fell to his knees in agony, still clutching his throat. Drool dripped from his mouth. Kinemia's blue eyes followed Ian's every move. Ian, stop. Kinemia's voice trembled as she continued. If you keep this up, he'll die. He lowered his head, his emotions hidden, only his dark hair moving slightly with his breath. Suddenly, a gentle smile played on his lips, a smile that sent a chill down the spine of anyone watching. Ian asked, weren't you going to kill him? His unexpected words stopped Kinemia, her face a mask of confusion. Huh? Kinemia's voice rose in protest. No, stop. Ian ignored her words, continuing to punish the man. He seemed not to understand why she would stop him, why this man deserved to die. The man, still pale, struggled futilely, his chest tightening, his breath coming in ragged, choked gasps. I can't breathe. Seeing him fading, she cried out, this is different from killing him. I told you to stop. Rage flared within Ian. This impudent brat. The hateful thought screamed in his mind. If I get my hands on you, I'll kill you on the spot. As if sensing something, Kinemia and Ian turned simultaneously, their gazes falling upon the struggling man. Suddenly, a loud noise pierced the silence, startling a flock of birds perched on the gray-tiled roofs into flight. All of the trafficker's movements ceased. His body stiffened, no longer struggling, no longer making a sound. Like a leaf falling from a branch in a fierce wind, his body crumpled to the ground. A voice called out, hey kid. At the same time, someone approached. Kinemia and Ian turned their heads towards the voice. It was the giant beast sisters. Seeing the two, Lana asked, are you two all right? Neither sister knew what had happened to the trafficker. Sarah approached Kinemia, her expression serious. There are often suspicious people around on market day. Next time, make sure to come with an adult. Kinemia quickly replied, thank you. Relieved that the worst hadn't happened, she added, thank goodness, I almost really killed someone. Lana effortlessly hoisted the trafficker's motionless body onto her shoulder. I'll hand this guy over to the guards around here. Sarah asked Kinemia, where are you two headed? I'll take you there. Kinemia looked up at her, sincerity clear on her face, which still held a trace of bewilderment. She answered softly, we're looking for a weapon shop with a frog sign. Do you know where it is? Sarah exclaimed, a frog sign. Her eyes flickered. That's our shop, a rustic, yet sturdy blacksmith's workshop nestled amongst green trees. Small windows dotted the gray stone walls, emitting a warm, golden glow. The front porch was piled high with blacksmithing tools. Directly in front of the smithy hung a wooden sign, a stylized frog carved against the plain wooden background. The giant beast sisters warmly invited Kinemia and Ian into the blacksmith shop. Come in. There are no other customers, so relax. As she walked, Kinemia thought, I didn't expect to meet the giant beast sisters this way. Ian turned to her and asked, are these the skilled craftspeople who make the slime toys? Kinemia replied with a slight hesitation, yes. Kinemia Leon's eyes widened as she took in the finely crafted equipment. Just as I remember from the original story, their craftsmanship is truly top-notch, she murmured in admiration. Gleaming weapons, such as armor, battle axes, and shields, filled the tables and floor. A look of confusion crossed her face as she glanced to the side. In addition to the weapons for sale, there were signs that read big sale, clearance, buy 2 get 3, and 30% off. It seemed business wasn't going well. Seeing the customer's troubled expression, Lana Giant Beast gave an awkward laugh. This shop is pretty deserted, huh? Ian Crotz, blunt to the point of rudeness, stated, extremely desolate and deserted. Kinemia instinctively clapped a hand over his mouth, rushing to correct him. No, the weapons sold here are all wonderful. Hearing this, Lana rushed over and gripped her shoulders, her face alight with surprise. Such a small and cute little thing, and you know how to appreciate weapons, huh? Sarah gently stroked her head, praising her. So smart and perceptive. Lana was delighted to see someone acknowledge her and her sister's talent in weapon making, even if it was just a little girl. She laughed heartily. Tell me what you need, and I'll give you a few extra things. But Kinemia calmly refused. No, thank you. Kinemia's next words stopped the two sisters in their tracks. She declared firmly, I'll buy everything here, and I'll also place a custom order. Sarah, encountering a customer this eager to spend money for the first time, a little girl at that, couldn't help but be confused. Huh? As if anticipating their doubtful attitude, Kinemia adopted a serious tone and slowly introduced herself. Let me formally introduce myself. Placing her hand on her chest, her gaze unwavering, she revealed her true identity to the two sisters. I am Kinemia Leon. A beat later, she stated her purpose. As the head of the Lyon family, I would like to discuss business. At her words, both Sarah and Lana's eyes widened in surprise, their mouths agape. They hadn't expected the little girl who barely reached their waist to be such an important figure. It was a long moment before they managed to exclaim, Lyon. Like true merchants, the sisters regained their composure and immediately led their distinguished guest to another room to discuss business. The space appeared to be where they researched and crafted new weapons, the table cluttered with work-related items such as candles, an hourglass, and stacks of thick books. A hand rested gently on Kinemia's small shoulder. In front of her sat a variety of delicious-looking pastries and a steaming pot of fragrant hot tea. Lana spoke up. Sitting upright on the comfortable sofa, Lana diligently massaged Kinemia's shoulders, taking the opportunity to shower her with sweet, honeyed invitations. What would the young lady like to order? Sarah, sitting thoughtfully beside her, offered a cake to Kinemia's lips. Kinemia couldn't help but admire herself. This was the taste of power. Her face flushed slightly, embarrassed by the sisters' excessive enthusiasm. Slowly savoring a chocolate biscuit, she silently reviewed the information she knew about them. The Benamos sisters, Lana and Sarah, were still basking in the joy of landing a huge deal. Kinemia recalled the memories describing the pair, the strongest blacksmiths who had crafted weapons for the protagonist in the original story, precisely the talent Lyon needed right now. According to her memories, the common weapons of this world had a significant weakness. They corroded upon contact with monster blood. She pondered this carefully. Consequently, weapons used against monsters required regular replacement. The problem was that each replacement incurred a substantial cost. Kinemia was deeply concerned about the financial investment required for combat. Thanks to her father's legacy, she could manage for now, but if she didn't find a solution soon, she would eventually be unable to bear the burden. She concluded that a new type of weapon, resistant to monster venom, was a necessity. According to the original story, creating weapons effective against monsters required a blacksmith who knew how to handle them. And to handle monsters, that blacksmith had to know how to use magic. They were the ones standing before her now, the giant beast sisters. Kinemia set down her teacup. I'm not here just for the next order, she stated calmly. Lyon wants to sign an exclusive contract with Giant Beast. Both Sarah and Lana were stunned. An exclusive contract? What? Kinemia continued. Yes, I'd like you both to join Lyon and create the tools we need. Sarah and Lana turned to each other, whispering in not-so-hushed tones. No way. Contract slaves. Do they want to tie us down there, leaving us with no escape? Kinemia deadpanned. I heard all of that. Lana whispered suspiciously, but Sarah's such a small, cute girl. Is there a need to deceive us? Sarah gave Kinemia a meaningful glance. Don't judge a book by its cover, Lana. Kinemia announced again, I heard all of that. Kinemia thought to herself, in this era, even vassals don't understand the concept of using monsters and magic as raw materials. So I must bring them over to my side. She stated her needs seriously. I want to create a sword capable of resisting monsters. Kinemia elaborated. Not a sword that needs to be discarded after every battle with a monster, but a durable sword that can be used for a long time. These words piqued Sarah's interest. She looked directly at Kinemia, a hint of hesitation in her voice. What the young lady means is... Sarah confirmed the request she had just heard. You want a sword that isn't corroded by monster blood? Kinemia replied easily, yes, a special weapon unlike any seen in this world. Ian stood silently against the wall, arms crossed, listening to the exchange. That seemed impossible. She continued with an additional request, and I want to try using monster bones as raw materials. At this, Lana's face lit up. She asked excitedly, forging a sword with monster bones. A sword that has never existed in the world. Lana was completely captivated by the idea. I want to do it so badly. Sarah calmly restrained her sister, covering Lana's mouth to prevent her from immediately agreeing in her excitement. But, young lady, why entrust such an important task to us? As you can see, we are just some country blacksmiths. Kinemia waved this off. But to make weapons using monsters, you need a blacksmith who knows how to use magic, and you two do, right? Sarah and Lana were startled, asking nervously, how did you? Kinemia slowly offered a plausible explanation. A giant bee sword was once delivered to the Duke's mansion. My mother was very pleased with it and told me it was a sword forged with magic. She thought to herself, actually, I know this from the original story. Kinemia's tone sharpened. I believe you both know who my mother is, right? Sarah and Lana slowly replied. The young lady's mother is the hero, Aurelian. The two were immersed in the joy that a sword they had crafted was treasured by a hero. Sarah felt a little giddy, thinking a hero recognized the value of our swords. Lana said with a smile, see, I told you someone would recognize our talent. They conferred quietly. Lana, what should we do now? I really want to try this. Kinemia thought happily, good. With a little more persuasion, they'll agree. With that thought, even her voice became lighter. The contract terms are not bad. I will provide all the equipment and raw materials. Ian leaned against the wall, lost in thought. He glanced at Sarah and Lana, secretly admiring these slime blacksmiths who also knew how to use magic. Ian folded his arms, lost in thought. Miss Kinemia always surprises me. She even figured out that I'm Rakasa. But if you just needed to send someone to fetch them, that would have been enough. Why go through all this trouble yourself? He glanced at Kinemia, wondering if she was still hiding something. Amidst the cheerful atmosphere, Kinemia suddenly paused, her gaze drawn to something outside. Wait, she said, are those your subordinates over there? As soon as she spoke, everyone saw a figure peering through the window. Brian, a voice shouted. The figure outside, realizing they had been spotted, took off running. Lana, recognizing the man, flew into a rage. Her face contorted in fury, she roared. That bastard! Grabbing a weapon, she charged outside, yelling, stop, you perverted bastard. Sarah called after her from inside, Lana. She hurriedly pursued, managing to call back, Miss, I'm afraid we'll have to continue this later. I apologize. As soon as those words left her mouth, Sarah shouted again, Lana, wait. Both sisters were gone, leaving him and her in the empty house. Kinemia was left with a single, resounding thought. A chase had disrupted the quiet land, making it noisier than it had ever been. Brian ran for his life, the shouts echoing behind him. Hey, stop! Panic etched on his face, sweat dripping down his brow. He gasped for breath as he ran. The voice continued to pursue him. I said stop running. Suddenly, someone grabbed Brian by the collar. He only managed to let out a surprised Doug before Lana slammed him to the ground. Stop right there, she roared. Stunned by the sudden attack, he cried out, hey. Brian scrambled back in alarm. Oh, what the hell? Why are you chasing me? Axe in hand, Lana advanced on him menacingly. You shameless, perverted bastard. Shut up. Standing over him, she declared, I warned you. If you ever snuck around my house again, you'd be dead. And yet, here you are peeping. He quickly defended himself. Peeping? I was just passing by, and you chased me with an axe. Just passing by, she roared. Wasn't it because you dared to peep at my house? The memory of Brian leering outside her window while she bathed flashed through her mind. He stared at Lana, a mixture of surprise and confusion on his face. Peep, what are you talking about? Seeing his reaction, she froze, eyes wide with resentment. Lana raised her axe high above her head. This guy. Before the axe could fall, Sarah grabbed her arm. Stop it, Lana. Lana looked back at her sister in surprise. Sarah, she muttered. Sarah spoke urgently. Lana, have you forgotten what you did last time? All our customers ran away. Don't be so reckless. Lana looked at her incredulously. What? Lana asked. Are we just going to let him go? What if this bastard peeps at us again? Brian, sitting on the ground, feigned innocence. When did I ever do such a thing? With a sneer, he added brazenly, do you have any proof? You think I don't know what you're up to? Brian continued his shameless tirade. Your business is failing, so you're trying to frame me and extort money, right? The sisters were stunned by his audacity. Lana shouted furiously, don't spout nonsense. Our business was bad from the start because you've been slandering us all over the village. He sat on the ground, cursing. Damn it, Brian sneered, his voice dripping with arrogance. It's so easy to falsely accuse someone, huh? I just came to take a look because your shop used to belong to my father. Does that make me a pervert? You should spend your time improving your products instead of framing people. Further enraged by his words, Lana flew into a greater frenzy. You know nothing about our work. How dare you say such things with such confidence? Sarah, standing behind her, tugged at her arm. Lana, enough. Let's go back. Hearing the venomous Brian twist the truth, the villagers quickly believed his words. They whispered amongst themselves, gossiping. One woman murmured, so she was just pretending because her business is bad. The man next to her replied, probably. Sarah quickly interjected, no, we didn't do it because we're struggling. Brian, grew more smug. This is so unfair. I pitied you, so I was going to buy something, but I was treated like trash. Brian immediately switched tactics, feigning innocence and playing the victim. Sarah tried to explain, that's not true. The villagers only believed what they wanted to believe. Her explanations were like a drop in the bucket. The murmurs continued. Standing in the setting sun, the two sisters felt helpless in the face of what was happening. They felt the weight of public opinion and the malice of the world. A look of sadness crossed Lana's face as she fell into thought. A voice echoed in her mind. Apologize right now. A woman holding a child. It was the young giant beast sisters standing before her. She yelled, look at this child's face, it's bruised. What if it scars? Can you take responsibility? Sarah bowed her head as sincerely as possible, admitting her fault. I'm truly sorry. I promise it won't happen again. Lana, watching her sister, whispered, Sarah. She bowed her head lower and continued, I'm truly very sorry. Please forgive me this time. Lana thought, She tightly clenched her trembling hands, gripping her skirt, suppressing her emotions. Lana thought, it hurts to see Sarah having to lower her head because of me. She loosened her grip, and the axe fell to the ground. Lana lowered her head slightly and said to Sarah, let's go home. Sarah, seeing her actions, was a little surprised. She closed her eyes gently and replied with a hint of sadness, okay. A burst of laughter erupted behind the two sisters, Lana and Sarah. Brian, still seated, pointed at them and sarcastically shouted, look, they run away as soon as they're caught. Everyone saw it, right? This is their true nature. He yelled, how embarrassing. Two figures walked along the paved road. I've always found it strange. A thought surfaced that two young women opened a blacksmith shop. Sarah Benamis frowned. Someone complained. Acting like they know blacksmithing, they probably can't even hold a weapon properly. A voice called out, Sarah. Sarah looked blankly towards the speaker. The voice continued, I'm really sorry. I caused trouble again. Lana Benamis stood in the sunlight, tears in her eyes. It's because of me again, she choked out. Sarah Benamis stood stiffly dazed. The suitcase and small bag were neatly arranged. Lana, are you all packed? Didn't forget anything. The Benamis sisters walked leisurely along the sunny road, each carrying their belongings. Sarah, walking in front, filled with anticipation for the future, asked her sister, do you think we can find another peaceful place? Lana apologized to Sarah. I'm sorry, Sarah. But that jerk said I grew up like an uneducated orphan. Sarah comforted her sister. Well, I know he started it. She advised Lana Benamis, but Lana, you can't get angry so easily. Sarah sadly told her, if you do that, we'll always be wandering with no place to settle down. No one will trust us, support us. A small hand grasped Sarah's. What are you talking about, Sarah? We have each other. Lana held Sarah's hand, comforting her. Lana Benamis innocently comforted Sarah. If no one cares about us, then we'll take care of each other. We've always been like this. Sarah, touched by her sister's words, blushed. She teased Lana. Have you ever cared about me? It's always me following behind, worrying about you. Lana cheerfully said, oh, is that so? Sarah Benamis thought, why should Lana apologize? The real culprit is someone else. Even if we try hard to fit into the village, they don't accept us. They haven't even tried to. The image of the villagers pointing and driving them away surfaced. So why should we try to please them? A voice rang out, "You're right, Lana." Lana Benamis turned her head, listening to the voice. Her hand tightly gripped the hammer. "If no one helps and trusts us, we'll always support each other, take care of each other." "Saeed," Lana called out excitedly. She opened her eyes and gazed at Ser. "At least Ser Benamis." She raised the hammer in her hand, ready to strike Brian. "Will always support you." Seeing this, Lana shouted, trying to stop her sister, Ser. "Aya!" a scream echoed. Ser Benamis was stunned. Lana Benamis rushed towards her, yelling Ser. Brian, terrified by Ser's action, was drenched in sweat, reaching out to touch his head. "My head, is it still there? It didn't fall off, did it?" Brian cursed under his breath. This crazy woman. Ser looked blankly at her hand and thought, "What has happened? The hammer is gone." The person in black boots approached to stop them. "Stop it." It was Kinemia Leon. She stepped forward, followed by Ian Crotz. "Leave the rest to me." Lana looked worriedly at Ser. She saw the hammer in Ian Crotz's hand. "That's my sister's hammer, right?" Lana grabbed her shoulder, and the two sisters looked toward Kinemia. Ser Benamis asked in surprise, "Why is my hammer there?" Kinemia stood sternly before Brian. "You." She stood in the sunlight, her hair fluttering. Kinemia ordered Brian, "Apologize to Lana and Ser." After Kinemia Leon's sudden appearance, Brian slowly stood up, his voice filled with resentment and contempt. "Huh, who are you?" "A little brat who doesn't understand anything." He pointed at the giant bee sisters and loudly denied responsibility. "Why should I apologize? They're falsely accusing me out of greed for money." As soon as Brian finished speaking, she retorted in a sharp voice, "Lies." Her expression cold. She lowered her voice and accused him. "You were peeping just now too, weren't you?" Brian, struck a nerve, stammered in panic, "Whoa, don't falsely accuse me." Kinemia Leon ignored his words and continued, "The giant beasts are discussing a contract with me, a contract with a huge investment." Her voice laced with anger. "So you dare say I'm falsely accusing you just to extort a little money from you?" Brian immediately replied, his voice contemptuous, "You don't know how greedy beggars like them are." He continued to sneer loudly. "They're capable of anything." He secretly recalled Kinemia Leon's previous words. Investment. His mind raced. Brian's eyes raked over her, suspicion filling his mind. Who is this girl? Her clothes weren't those of a noble. He'd never seen her among the upper crust of this region. With a face like that, he wouldn't forget. After a moment's thought, he decided she must be the daughter of some moderately wealthy merchant, hardly worth his notice. A sneer curled his lip. "With your meager skills, you think you'll actually land a contract? Wouldn't it be easier to try and extort money from me?" Brian taunted. Lana snapped, "You bastard." She lunged forward, but Kinemia Leon stopped her. Ian Crotz, who had been observing the scene, finally spoke. "Have you ever held the giant beast sword? Truly looked upon a weapon?" Brian scoffed. "Why would I do that? Do you know who my father is? I don't need to touch such things." Brian boasted. Kinemia Leon sighed wearily. "Humph." Her voice dripped with disdain. "With those useless hands of yours, the ones that only point and criticize, you probably couldn't even hold a sword. And, well, it seems you have nothing to boast about beside your father." Brian's pride stung. Fury boiled within him. "You little brat." He raised his hand to strike her. Suddenly, a shout rang out. "Stop! Stop!" The booming voice continued from behind them. "What's all this commotion?" Brian froze. He turned to see a man dressed in what appeared to be noble attire. Brian immediately recognized him. "Count Brun," he exclaimed, a grin spreading across his face. "Perfect timing. I'll make this sharp-tongued girl beg for mercy." Brian rushed over to him, eagerly introducing himself and pointing accusingly at Kinemia Leon. "My lord, I'm Brian. I had the pleasure of greeting you at the last banquet. You've arrived just in time. I'm being falsely accused." Before he could finish, the Count's face froze, his eyes widening in surprise as if he'd seen something unbelievable. "Ah," he gasped. "Your Grace," he cried, quickly bypassing Brian and rushing forward. Brian stared blankly, confused. "Your Grace." Count Brun knelt before Kinemia Leon, bowing his head. "My Lady Wing of Lyon, if I had known you were gracing us with your presence, I would have come to greet you personally," he said respectfully. Kinemia Leon replied gently, "It's all right. I was simply stopping by to see the craftsman I mentioned before." Brian stared at them, bewildered. What's going on? That girl is a Duchess. Why is the Duchess here at a time like this?" Kinemia Leon glanced at Brian, and she pointed at him. "Count, can you deal with this man? He's a pervert who has been harassing the talent I've taken an interest in." Brian gaped at her, stunned. Count Brun looked at Brian with surprise. A pervert harassing the talent favored by her grace, the Duchess of the Lyon Grand Duchy. Yes, Kinemia Leon confirmed firmly. The giant bee sisters seized the opportunity. He harassed us, then snuck into our home and spread rumors to ruin our business. Kinemia Leon added, he not only slandered them publicly, but also openly attempted to assault me. Brian stammered, Your Grace. This is all a misunderstanding, Kinemia Leon dismissed his weak excuses with a cold glance and a sigh. Brian trembled, cold sweat dripping down his face. Apologize to them immediately, and don't let me hear anything like this again, she demanded icily. Brian shuddered. Why is this happening? The people on the street murmured amongst themselves. What? So what those two said was true. He dared to defy the Duchess. That's someone even the Count bows to. He's in deep trouble now. Brian panicked. If this continues, the thought echoed in his mind. If this continues, I'll... With a thud, Brian fell to his knees before the giant bee sisters, his body shaking. Mustering all his courage, he shouted, Lana, Saeed, I was wrong. I'm sorry. Will you forgive me? He pleaded. Lana and Sarah remained silent. As soon as he finished speaking, two soldiers accompanying the Count stepped forward and apprehended Brian. He stared at them, dumbfounded. What? I already apologized. Let me go. Brian yelled. Count Brun spoke. You're Brian, correct? I was just about to investigate those complaints against you. He continued. You harassed women and paid them off to keep quiet, didn't you? Even as he was dragged away, Brian vehemently denied it. No, that's slander. He dragged away. Brian continued to shout, trying to justify his slander, his behavior drawing stares from those around him. With the commotion settled, the giant bee sisters listened intently to the conversation between Count Brun and Kinemia Leon. Count Brun said, If anything I did displeased you, Your Grace, I apologize. I will take care of this matter immediately. She replied gently, I trust you will deal with that pervert. As soon as the conversation ended, the sisters addressed Kinemia Leon. Mississippi hearing this, she turned to look at them. Sarah, looking slightly embarrassed, thanked Kinemia Leon. If it weren't for your timely arrival, Miss, we might have become murderers. Truly, thank you so very much. Lana, standing beside her, her face beaming with joy, added, Me too. Lana continued, Thank you so much. Seeing this, Kinemia Leon pondered. In the original story, they were falsely accused of murder and forced to wander the battlefield. If I had arrived, even a moment later, it would have been truly disastrous. After a moment, she quickly replied, You're welcome. A bright smile spread across her face as she continued. So, are you two willing to sign a contract with me now? Kinemia Leon persuaded them. I've already announced it so loudly in such a public place. If you don't sign now, won't everyone think I was just boasting? Her words surprised the giant bee sisters. They exchanged glances, silent, but understanding each other perfectly. With a shared smile, the giant bee sisters said, a mix of resignation and delight in their voices. It seems we have no other choice. Then, in unison, they said, All right, we agree to sign the contract. A few days passed. On a bright morning, brilliant sunlight streamed into the grand castle. Inside the palace, a shimmering, bright blue object appeared on a wooden table. It was a mass of viscous gel. Kinemia Leon stared in surprise at the jiggling gel on the table. A slime. They actually made it, as expected of the giant bee sisters. Hesitantly, she said, I didn't ask you to make this. Lana cheerfully explained, it would be a waste not to make full use of monster materials, and it wasn't that difficult to make. Sarah, standing beside her, added, crafting weapons against monsters might take some time, so I wanted to try making something small for you to see. Sarah said expectantly, I tried my best to make it feel as realistic as possible. Please touch it. Hearing this, Kinemia Leon hesitated. Then she reached out and squeezed the blue, viscous gel. She poked it a few times, finding it delightfully gooey, and began kneading it with increasing enthusiasm. Seeing this, the giant bee sisters asked, How is it? Lost in the enjoyment of her new toy, Kinemia Leon continued kneading without responding. After a while, she finally responded, her voice filled with satisfaction. It's so interesting. Hearing this, Lana exclaimed excitedly, That's great. I'll make some in other colors next time. Sarah also asked enthusiastically, What color do you like? Pink, blue. In another corner of the castle, bright sunlight filtered through the leaves, scattering a few falling feathers. A voice echoed, How long do you intend to stay here? It was Ian Crotz's teacher, circling above his head. Ian Crotz leaned against the wall, reading a book. His teacher said, perplexed, I assured you that child had no magic. Isn't the research complete? Ian Crotz answered slowly, evading the question. I'll stay until my wounds are fully healed. His teacher tilted his head in surprise. Wounds? It's been months. They haven't healed yet. Ian Crotz put on a pitiful expression and pleaded, I was severely injured that time, as you know. So, they haven't healed yet. Seeing this, Ian's teacher fumed inwardly. This shameless fellow, always lying. He sighed in resignation and said reluctantly, fine, that's all right. Don't come back for now. Stay here and pretend to reflect. Ian's teacher continued in a reproachful tone, you caused such a big problem this time. The elders are all furious. Ian Crotz replied nonchalantly, are you referring to me? I merely retaliated when the Lyon family attacked first. He attempted to justify himself, recalling the bloody and deadly scene that night. It was self-defense, just lawful self-preservation. He repeated, feigning surprise. Then his teacher retorted, self-defense. Even if it was defense, his teacher snapped, you killed over a dozen mages from the magic tower, and you dare call that self-defense. Despite the reprimand, Ian Crotz remained calm, holding his book and closing his eyes. He replied, do you know how much effort I put into covering for you? Besides, I spared a whole group from the Lyon family. They were the masterminds. He added with a cryptic air, and my research isn't over yet, teacher. Under the clear sky, the two continued their discussion. His teacher asked wearily, what else is there? Ian Crotz's eyes lit up. I have one more experiment to conduct. He thought of the lovely Kinemia Leon, wanted to see if the Duchess was truly special or just ordinary. In the Grand Duke of Lyon's castle, a youthful voice rang out, 42, 43. A figure gripping a sword trembled slightly, counting as they practiced, 44, 45. Exhausted and on the verge of tears, Kinemia Leon couldn't practice any longer. Closing her eyes, she yawned and mumbled, 40. Ian Crotz watched Kinemia Leon practice from behind the door. 40, 40, 40. Seeing her like this, he spoke. Duchess Mia, you seem quite listless this morning. Slightly irritated and covered in sweat, she hurriedly replied, because I have low blood pressure and I've been very busy lately. The servants reported in turns. Your Grace, please review the plans for the blacksmith expansion. The reports are endless. The DCO Trading Company wants to sign an exclusive agreement with us to sell slime toys. Your Grace, this is a sketch of the engraving for the new weapon. What do you think? While practicing, Kinemia Leon thought to herself, the original plan was just to make some money from those monsters, not to work this hard. Lost in thought, she slipped and cried out, ah. He appeared from the other side and caught her. A sweet scene unfolded as the two gazed at each other, captivated. After a moment of eye contact, Ian Crotz asked with concern, are you all right? Unable to meet his gaze, Kinemia Leon shyly replied, thank you. She thought to herself, sweating nervously. That was close. Ian Crotz, never missing a chance to tease her, said, oh, Duchess Mia, your face is red. I must have made quite the impression on you. Hearing this, Kinemia Leon quickly freed herself from his embrace, looked away in a daze, and casually replied, It's because of the training. It must be. As she walked away, she thought, every time I talk to him, I'm left speechless. A stream of purple energy flowed from Ian Crotz's hand, conspicuously noticeable. Kinemia Leon seemed to sense something and let out a bewildered, ah. He lifted his shirt, revealing a large amount of blood gushing from his abdomen, soaking his clothes. Seeing his old wound reopen, Ian Crotz's face darkened. Ah, it's happening again. Worried, she ran to his side, clasped her hands, stared at the wound, and asked frantically, you're bleeding. Why hasn't it healed after 5 months? Ian Crotz, accustomed to this, quickly replied while pointing at the blood, wounds caused by magic take longer to heal. Out of concern, Kinemia Leon gently touched the wound. Even so, he flinched and cried out in pain, ugh. Seeing this, she hurriedly apologized. I'm sorry. Does it hurt a lot? Despite the intense pain, Ian Crotz forced a smile to avoid upsetting Kinemia Leon. No, it's not that bad. As soon as he finished speaking, he thought this should be enough, right? Ian Crotz looked at her, calculating the Duchess is gradually letting her guard down around me. Making her pity me will create an opening in her heart. With that, he lowered his head. Now's the time. Remembering this, Alpha Man became enraged and roared, "Don't do that." He raged on, "Are you using mind control magic? That's a forbidden technique. It directly affects a person's consciousness. Furthermore, that young lady is too young. If you use such strong magic to disturb her mind, it will cause serious damage to her body." Alpha Man raised his voice and continued. His voice suddenly softened into a plea. "Just this once, listen to me, Ian. Forbidden techniques are forbidden for a reason." He raised his hands, thinking, "But, teacher," Ian Crotz recalled standing before her, his eyes gleaming with a sinister smile. "Isn't this what I've been doing all along?" Ian Crotz gently caressed Kinemia Leon's cheek, his tone sly. He stroked her cheek and mused, "So, tell me, Duchess, what secrets are you hiding?" Kinemia Leon, seeing Ian Crotz staring at her, was puzzled, unsure of his intentions. After a moment, she regained her composure and asked, "What did you just do?" Ian Crotz froze for 5 seconds, his face flushing slightly with embarrassment. Panicked, he thought the magic didn't work. Then he stammered a lie. "Nothing. You were just lost in thought." Kinemia Leon said loudly, "How boring. Today's training is over. I still need to get ready to meet the priest." Ian Crotz, still bewildered, stood there pondering. Why didn't it work? Looking at her as she went to retrieve her sword, he analyzed the levitation and teleportation magic worked before. Could she have the ability to negate mental magic? Ian Crotz used his ability to examine Kinemia. But how? She has no magic power. So how did she resist? Who is she really? The more he thought, the more confused he became. As if realizing something, Ian Crotz propped his chin on his hand. His eyes lit up with excitement. How interesting. He immediately followed Kinemia Leon, hands clasped behind his back, and said tentatively, "It's admirable how you always train diligently, even when no one is watching, Duchess Mia." Kinemia Leon glanced back at him and stated clearly, "I promised my mother I wouldn't interrupt my training." She suddenly turned her head, remembering Ian Crotz's family situation, and her tone softened. "Speaking of which, your parents," he startled, thinking, wait, I shouldn't have casually asked about family matters. Ian Crotz calmly replied, "It's nothing. I don't have parents. I was abandoned as a child." He spoke with a melancholic expression. Ian Crotz gave a stiff smile. Probably around 7 years old, he began to recount, "It was just an ordinary day. My father suddenly gave me a blindfold. He said he had prepared a surprise gift and told me to put on and follow him. We walked for a long time. No matter how much I asked where we were going, what the surprise was, he didn't answer. The ground beneath my feet was damp." Ian Crotz recalled the image of his father leading him by the hand deeper into the forest. Walking blindfolded was truly terrifying. But at that moment, all I could think about was how long it had been since I let go of my father's hand. I just kept walking and walking, immersed in that feeling. Thinking back, he still felt the fear, as if we would walk like that forever. We finally stopped somewhere. "Father," Ian Crotz said softly, "Ian, can you wait here for a moment? Don't take off the blindfold." He coaxed me with sweet words. "Count to 100, and I'll bring you a present." Then, a sinister smile appeared. His father feigned a question. "You're a mature and smart child, so you can wait, right?" Ian Crotz continued. "That was the end when I finally realized that surprise gift was just a lie. Maybe he would leave me here and never come back." He teared up. Ian Crotz still followed the instructions, keeping the blindfold on, waiting for his father until it got dark. But even then, I waited. Night ended, and day came again. I just kept counting to 100 over and over again. Back in the present, he closed his eyes, chuckling in self-deprecation, then asked, "Stupid, right?" Kinemia Leon, having heard Ian Crotz's story, was stunned, her eyes shimmering with sympathy. Kinemia Leon immediately raised her hand. She walked towards him and gently placed her hand on Ian Crotz's cheek. The two gazed softly at each other. Kinemia Leon said sweetly, "No, not at all, not at all." He blushed shyly in the romantic atmosphere, only knowing to look at her, watching the change in the room. Kinemia Leon sipped her tea and looked at the woman across from her. "Priestess Andrea, you said?" Kinemia asked urgently. "Priestess Andrea, you wish to retire from this position?" She calmly replied, "Yes, your grace. At my age, my supernatural abilities are not what they used to be." Hearing this, she struggled to maintain her composure and inquired further, "I understand. Then, when will the succeeding priestess arrive in the Grand Duchy?" Andrea hesitated. "Well, I'm afraid the church seems to intend to withdraw completely from the Grand Duchy." This startling news made Kinemia jump. "What? But, she pressed, why? It's not like no one comes to the church here, and we still contribute a significant amount of funds to the church every year. But Andrea simply replied indifferently, I'm not privy to the details. Kinemia guessed, somewhat certain, but I'm guessing it's because of Duke Rosalind, isn't it? The priestess merely cleared her throat to gloss over it. Ahem. I don't know what to say. Lady Rosalind, the temple's biggest supporter, and someone who holds a deep grudge against my family. His daughter, Fairy Rosalind, once broke off her engagement because she was in love with my father, and he never recovered a penny of the massive investment he poured into my father's business. So I bet if he saw us, he definitely wouldn't be able to control himself. She thought to herself, but if the temple closes, people will have nowhere left to heal. Kinemia asked worriedly, then what about the medical care of our people? Andrea reassured her, don't worry too much, Your Grace. God will take care of everything. Her comforting words had the opposite effect, leaving Kinemia even more uneasy after hearing them. Priestess, she resolved, I must formulate a plan immediately. In a small cabin in the middle of a desolate forest, bottles and vessels were strewn haphazardly across the floor. A dry cough echoed, cough, cough, cough. Shanti Or lay dazed in bed, staring quietly out the window. Hey! He looked at the few remaining withered leaves on the branches and muttered, once the last leaf falls. Shanti Or's eyes glazed over as he softly uttered each word. Ivildi. He suddenly sat up with a start, coughing violently. Shanti Or gasped for breath, yet his craving for alcohol remained. Finally, some alcohol. I want a drink. Please bring me some alcohol. It's my last wish. Shanti Or's plea was interrupted by a hand that was knitting wool. Wake up from your dream, Cash Lowe said, pulling him out of his dramatic scene. Master, you're perfectly healthy. You can live for another 100 years. Even so, Shanti Or still stretched out a trembling hand and begged, how can you say such cruel words? Please, just one sip. Cash Lowe remained focused on knitting a sweater for the cat, leaving Shanti Or lying helplessly in bed. Shanti Or became angry. TSK, those damned Westerners. He lay with his arms crossed, cursing, a bunch of ignorant fools. Do you have no compassion? Cash Lowe calmly, still knitting the cat's sweater. Why do you always want to drink? He glanced at Shanti Or. Whatever I bring, you always find it worthless. Shanti Or snapped back, isn't it because your alcohol is just awful? Go find me something else. There has to be something I like. Cash Lowe mused, Master, why don't you give up on finding that thing? He replied calmly, I've been searching for it for over 10 years, but I haven't found anything similar. He continued, maybe that mortal wine never existed in the first place. Cash Lowe asked Shanti Or, puzzled, why are you so obsessed with that taste? There are plenty of other, more delicious things in this world. Shanti Or said, I still don't understand. His eyes filled with sadness. Some tastes evoke memories. Shanti Or's master, with a bright smile, invited him for a drink. Come, Shanti Or, have a sip. I specifically brewed this for you using ingredients imported from the Western continent. Shanti Or looked at him with boredom. Drinking in broad daylight again, master. He said with disdain, I'm not drinking that. All alcohol tastes bitter. I don't find it enjoyable at all. He sighed, TSK, a true alchemist needs to have an open mind and dare to explore everything. He continued, but this isn't just ordinary alcohol. This is mortal wine. Shanti Or exclaimed, mortal wine. He continued, that's right. Do you know how difficult it was to gather the ingredients to brew this? I finally managed to make it. Try it. So Shanti Or picked up the glass. He sniffed it, tasted it, and his eyes widened. Pwah, what is this? He spat out everything he had drunk. His master sighed. Oh dear, you spilled the precious wine all over the floor. What a waste. Shanti Or shouted while vomiting, what mortal wine? This is poison. Master, the Western continent has no shortage of delicious ingredients, but you chose this. He chuckled, you're still so naive. Shanti Or conceded, ugh, fine. I shouldn't have trusted you. He continued, enough, I'll find someone else to drink with. Next time we go to the Western continent, you can eat all the sweets you want. Shanti Or's eyes widened in surprise. Wait, are you really taking me with you? His master gave him a condition. Only if you don't neglect your studies. He replied, I always study hard in my room. A voice suddenly called out, Shanti Or, have you packed your things for the trip? Shanti Or sat, neatly prepared, and said proudly, of course, but I'm not packing for you this time, master. You're on your own. Shanti Or's master scolded him affectionately with a laugh. Oh, you stingy little thing. All right. Hearing him call Shanti Or, he turned around. Shanti Or's master announced, I'm afraid we'll have to postpone the trip for a few days. I just received a summons from the royal palace. Shanti Or was puzzled, wondering what the royal palace wanted. Dejected, he hung his head in disappointment. They want you to make some deadly weapons for the war, don't they? He approached and said, Shanti Or. His master gently stroked Shanti Or's head and comforted him. You're still too young to worry about these things. I'll be back soon. Promise me you'll eat well and study hard. He offered a warm smile and reassured him. It will be all right. In a fortress built against a mountain. Sinkagan rested his hand on the throne and said coldly, I really don't understand you. His hawk-like eyes seemed to pierce through hearts. He said regretfully, I value your alchemical abilities above all else. I even offered you countless opportunities to pledge your loyalty to me, if you had obeyed my orders. Sinkagan sat on the throne, his hand supporting his head, and said sinisterly, I would have given you the antidote. Shanti Or's master knelt below, struggling in pain. He questioned, what exactly are you so dissatisfied with that you refuse repeatedly? His mouth filled with blood, he answered resolutely, alchemy is not for killing. Even if they are enemy soldiers, they are still human. Shanti Or's master said firmly, even if I die here today, I will never use my alchemy to kill them or serve the emperor's tyranny. Sinkagan sat up straight and burst into laughter. Ha ha ha. He roared with laughter, mocking him. Ha ha, you call this tyranny. Your will is truly admirable. Sinkagan smirked slyly. But in the end, if that will isn't mine to use, what good is it? He looked at the kneeling man and judged coldly. If you don't know how to cherish my mercy, then don't expect to find refuge on this continent. Sinkagan gave a cruel order. From now on, you and anyone associated with you are forever banished from this country. Shanti Or's master's eyes dimmed as he looked on helplessly. He emphasized each word sinisterly. Anyone who dares to help you will be put to death. If by some chance you manage to survive, I'd like to see if you can still uphold that will when you're struggling to survive in a foreign land where no one knows you. Sinkagan threatened, begging for mercy is useless because the moment you set foot on this land again, the image of Shanti Or anxiously running to support his staggering form flashed through his mind. His judgment is final. I will show no mercy. You will die. Shanti Or's master collapsed against him. Shanti Or frantically tried to support him, struggling to hold him up. Master, just hold on a little longer until we reach the border. Once we get to the western continent, I'll definitely find a cure. So please, just a little longer. Shanti Or looked at his master with worried, tear-filled eyes. Master has lost too much blood. At this rate, his master struggled to speak. Shanti Or, do you remember that celestial wine I had you try before? The one made with ingredients from the western continent. Shanti Or clutched his master's shoulder tightly. Master, please don't speak anymore. You're still bleeding. Shanti Or's master gasped, his blood-soaked hand reaching out to caress Shanti Or's cheek. When we reached the western continent, I wanted to drink that wine again. Shanti Or wept inconsolably. Master. Shanti Or's master smiled, a warm, sunset-like smile. Your tastes are still like a child's. Go buy yourself some sweets. His final words drifted away. I am sorry. I can't be with you anymore. Shanti Or sobbed like a child, watching his master slip away. One bright morning, he stared blankly out the window. Cash Lo stroked his cat, looking thoughtfully at Shanti Or, lost in thought. He tossed a box over. Forget about searching for things for now. Open this first. Shanti Or reached out languidly. What is this? This looks expensive. He eyed the luxurious black box. Cash Lo explained, the landlord told me to give it to you. Said a messenger from some high-ranking official delivered it. For me. Shanti Or asked, surprised. Cash Lo toyed with his cat, asking suspiciously, Master, you're an illegal immigrant. How could you have connections with such an important person? Did you get drunk somewhere and say something you shouldn't have? Don't talk nonsense, you brat. Shanti Or snapped. Don't underestimate me. I'm just worried about you. Master, Cash Lo explained. If you make any rash moves, you'll be deported immediately. Ignoring the chatter, he opened the box. Inside was a bottle and a letter. What kind of bottle is this? He picked up the bottle, examining it, swirling the contents. This couldn't be poison, could it? The bottle shimmered. Shanti Or was filled with questions. He opened the letter and read it, stunned. Could it be? His hand trembled as he held the letter. Master, what's wrong? Cash Lo asked anxiously. Lo, pack our things. Cash Lo, holding his cat, was astonished. Shanti Or gazed thoughtfully out the window. We're going to see someone. The scene shifted. Shanti Or heard someone call, Shanti Or, you've come. He turned around. A hand holding a bowl of water extended towards him. Here. Take this. It's precious, don't spill it. I brewed this with ingredients from the Western continent. A voice instructed. Shanti Or was stunned. Master. He grasped his master's shoulders joyfully. Master, how are you here? The journey must have been difficult. Master. How did you? He hesitated. Master and disciple stood side by side on a stone bridge. This must be a dream. A gentle breeze brushed past them. Shanti Or lowered his eyes thoughtfully. Beneath a weeping willow, Shanti Or spoke, guilt lacing his voice. Master, your disciple is incompetent, living each day weary in body and spirit. There's nowhere in the Western continent that evokes memories of you. Sinkagan burned all your portraits. He recounted all that had happened, and no one here understands alchemy. They don't even comprehend your great achievements. Despair tinged his words. Perhaps in this land, I'm the only one who still remembers you. But now, before Shanti Or's eyes, his master's image began to blur. I can't even remember your face clearly anymore, as if you never existed. I don't want the memories of you to fade, to disappear. Please, give me some sign so I won't forget you like that wine I tasted. He imagined a few drops of the liquid falling onto his tongue. Lying in bed, his eyes snapped open. He awoke. Everything he had just experienced was merely a dream. Shanti Or looked around, unfamiliar things filling his vision. Where is this? Master Shanti Or. A voice broke through his thoughts. Kinemia Leon, holding a small white glass bottle, approached with a smile. Are you feeling better? Hours earlier, Kinemia leaned against the balcony railing board. She sighed, looking up at the sky. It's been a week since I started, and there's still no news. Today, after receiving the church's order to close the temple, Priestess Andrea was also full of regret. I'm truly sorry, Your Grace. Two attendants eagerly tried to help their mistress. The funds are ready, Mississippi. Please use our money too. Kinemia sat thoughtfully, sadly stopping them. No, it's just bait from the church. After rejecting all proposals from her vassals to compete with Duke Rosslyn in donations, the alternative that came to Kinemia's mind was alchemy from the Eastern continent. Alchemy, a mysterious art, originated independently in the Eastern continent. In lands free from the church's control, alchemy has replaced divine power in healing people. Unlike divine power, alchemy requires priests to spend a long time. When healing others, alchemy allows the use of elixirs to treat people in a short time. Therefore, in the later part of the original story, alchemy became more popular than divine power. This is the goal, and it's a great opportunity to recruit alchemists in the Western continent and seize the blue ocean market, Kinemia thought. Fortunately, in the Western continent, there are a few alchemists secretly active in various places. They were expelled from the Eastern territories for opposing the tyrant Sinkagan and are currently living as illegal immigrants, making it difficult to summon them openly. But as long as that person exists, there's still a chance, Kinemia thought hopefully. On a bright day, Vanessa hurriedly reported to Kinemia, Miss, the guest you mentioned has arrived. She turned around happily. Really, the person Kinemia was waiting for was the leader of the Alchemist Association, an alchemist of unparalleled genius. Vanessa hesitantly said, yes, but, are you sure, Mississippi? Her face turned pale. Are these the people you were waiting for, Mississippi? The guest was Shanti Or in Shanghai. He was slumped over, completely leaning on cash low, weakly uttering intermittent sounds. Closer. Kinemia froze in shock, looking at the two guests before her. Shanti Or raised his hazy eyes to look at Kinemia, his breath as if exhausted. These old bones of mine won't last much longer, so alcohol, get me some alcohol. Kinemia screamed inwardly. This is horrible. She hurriedly arranged for alcohol for Shanti Or. Vanessa, bring the alcohol here. Vanessa also hurriedly replied, yes, Mississippi. After satisfying his craving for alcohol, Shanti Or sat elegantly across from Kinemia. Kinemia thought uneasily, making such a fuss, as if he was dying. He's quite healthy. Not only that, I heard he eats anything for alcohol, and as a result, has become abnormally strong. Yet he's still so young. How absurd. Additional information. Shanti Or is actually much older than he appears. Kinemia glanced curiously at Cashlow. Who did he bring with him? Seeing the serious expressions of both the person and the cat, Kinemia instantly lost all curiosity. She thought, it's best not to look into his eyes. Kinemia focused her thoughts on the main matter. Well, I must focus on making a good impression on Shanti Or. She bowed. Thank you for taking the time to come, Master Shanti Or in Shanghai. I am the Duchess of the Lyon Grand Duchy, Kinemia Leon. Shanti Or calmly crossed his arms, scrutinizing the girl before him. He assessed inwardly. So this little girl sent the box. At least she seems to be someone who understands etiquette, unlike the rude lower class of the Western continent. She's small, but has a face that could launch 1,000 ships. Shanti Or sharply got straight to the point. It's a pleasure to meet you, young Duchess. What business do you have that made you so eager to seek me out? Kinemia frankly asked. Master Shanti Or, you're the most skilled alchemist in the Western continent, correct? Cashflow stared intently at the two. Shanti Or smiled faintly, a knowing look on his face. It seems my reputation has reached even here. As expected, an awl in a pouch will eventually pierce through. Kinemia responded with a polite smile. Indeed, across the continent, you truly stand out from the crowd. Therefore, the Lyon Grand Duchy wishes to borrow Master Shanti Or's alchemic talents. Shanti Or was slightly surprised. Oh, this young lady can also speak the language of the Eastern continent. Cashflow, who was sitting and listening, felt dizzy and confused. An awl in a pouch. Stand out from the crowd. Kinemia said modestly, there's still much to learn from the Eastern continent. There are many proverbs there that contain profound life experiences, and as a leader, I find them very worthy of in-depth study. She continued, the Lyon Grand Duchy intends to utilize all the buildings within the Temple District to establish an area for alchemists. Shanti Or pondered, an area for alchemists. Then you'll need to gather quite a few alchemists. He quickly understood Kinemia's intentions. So you want to appoint me as the leader and gather other alchemists, correct? She softly replied, yes, we will offer you generous compensation. Kinemia offered enticing conditions. All alchemists who immigrate to the Grand Duchy will receive legal documents, housing, and a reasonable salary. Shanti Or mused him. He lowered his eyelids and thought, not only did she find me alone, but she also wants to establish a dedicated area for alchemy, and on the Western continent, where alchemy is practically taboo. The Grand Duchy will directly manage and ensure legality and work. Such a bold move. Perhaps they dare to do so because they have enough power to deal with the backlash. Shanti Or weighed everything, while Kinemia leisurely sipped her tea, waiting for his reply. Shanti Or assessed inwardly. This proposal offers immense profit, but the purpose of this matter hasn't been mentioned yet. Shanti Or thought clearly. As the saying goes, grasping at too much will result in loss. Perhaps I should tentatively accept and then consider it carefully. He had already made his decision. I can't refuse such a generous reward. After some deliberation, Shanti Or said, hey kid. Cashflow suddenly jumped up, standing between the two of them. I accept, fairy. The atmosphere suddenly turned rosy. Kinemia and Shanti Or froze at Lo's words. Kinemia dryly asked, fairy. Lo replied without changing expression, yes, fairy. Shanti Or burned with rage, gritting his teeth. He thought frantically, I completely forgot. Contrary to his rough appearance, cute things definitely attract this guy. Shanti Or thought as he glared at Lo, whose eyes were shining as he stared at Kinemia. Shanti Or raised his fist and roared, you damned bastard. Who do you think you are, making decisions on your own? Lo glared back defiantly. This proposal is fantastic, and you need a new goal in life now, right? Lo's words made Shanti Or freeze. The atmosphere between the two instantly became tense. Lo looked directly at Shanti Or. If it were that person, he would focus on the task at hand, not dwell on the past. Shanti Or glared warningly. Don't cross the line. Kinemia hurriedly intervened. Wait, both of you, stop arguing. I haven't mentioned the most important part yet. She gently placed a carefully sealed letter on the table. Shanti Or, aren't you curious about the recipe for the alcohol I sent you? She successfully caught Shanti Or's attention. He turned around. What? Kinemia calmly said, the recipe for brewing the fairy wine. I'll give it to you. These words startled both Shanti Or and Lo. Shanti Or looked at her in surprise. The recipe for that alcohol. Kinemia quickly replied, yes. She made a proposal. If you agree to sign this lifelong contract with the Lyon Grand Duchy. The three were silent for a moment. Shanti Or slowly repeated, lifelong contract. This made Kinemia look at him nervously, anticipating him to continue. He crossed his arms and leaned back in his chair. Before we discuss the contract further, I want to confer a few things. Shanti Or looked sharply at Kinemia. How does your grace know I'm looking for the fairy wine? And what proof do you have that it's the correct recipe? Hearing Shanti Or's question, Kinemia calmly replied, while investigating your whereabouts, I learned you were searching for the fairy wine. She continued softly. I heard a drunkard went to the eastern continent, clamoring for fairy wine in taverns everywhere. Lo, and the cat in his arms glared at Shanti Or, causing him to cough awkwardly. Rumors are everywhere. Kinemia looked down at the letter on the table. Actually, I don't know if this recipe is the one you need, but the only one who can confirm it is you, Master Shanti Or. Her words startled Shanti Or. He hesitantly asked, "What do you mean?" Kinemia leisurely explained, "My grandfather, the late Duke, traveled extensively in his youth to broaden his horizons. From neighboring countries to distant lands with vastly different climates and cultures. And he recorded his experiences in a diary. That diary was like a story that accompanied my growth. So, when I learned that Master Shanti Or was searching for the fairy wine, I remembered the contents of the diary. It was about my grandfather encountering someone from the East. He claimed to be an Eastern alchemist, searching for ingredients to brew an alcohol called fairy wine. He said he wanted his disciple, who didn't appreciate alcohol, to taste the ultimate flavor. After a long and arduous journey, he finally gathered enough ingredients. With a bright smile, he set off to return to his homeland, where his disciple was waiting for him. That's the story. Kinemia summarized concisely. Shanti Or was stunned after hearing this. He thought, Master. Shanti Or pondered sadly. I thought I'd never find any trace of him again. He wondered, so the recipe is also recorded in that diary. Kinemia Leon replied, yes. The alcohol I sent you was brewed according to the recipe in the diary. She took the opportunity to ask curiously, how did it taste, Master Shanti Or? Was it the flavor you've been searching for? Shanti Or was caught off guard by this question. He slowly explained, the first sip felt like my mouth was on fire. Then, the liquid thickly coated my throat, followed by a rich aroma. Shanti Or recalled the past with his master, a pang of pain in his heart. Finally, the aftertaste lingered, fresh as a forest, sweet as honey. His smile was warm. He used to play with me happily. Shanti Or smiled happily, immersed in memories. Returning to reality, he said, yes, there's no mistake. Shanti Or closed his eyes, reminiscing, and sighed. That intense flavor is forever etched in my mind. That's exactly what I've been searching for. He muttered to himself, unless the royal court collapses, the road back to my homeland remains distant. Returning to a place without master is meaningless to me. Thinking of Kinemia Leon, Shanti Or made up his mind. And there's someone here who wants to utilize master's knowledge. Resolved to save the people, he decided to leave his master's mark on this land with his own hands. Facing her, Shanti Or hesitated. Kinemia Leon beamed, her face radiant with joy at his words. Where do I sign? She exclaimed excitedly. This means... She thanked him profusely. Thank you, Master Shanti Or. You won't be disappointed. He replied, all right, I believe in you. Cashlow, cheeks flushed, gently took Kinemia Leon's hand, overflowing with joy. Wonderful, fairy. For now on, please take good care of our master. As soon as he finished speaking, he vanished in a flash. Huh, she said, bewildered. Shanti Or sat calmly in his chair, the black cat jumping onto the table. A cold voice rang out. Miss Mia, are you all right? Kinemia Leon spun around with a gasp. Oh, she exclaimed in surprise. Was it you just now? She asked, flustered. Ian, the handsome Ian Crotz, asked with concern, were you hurt? Wasn't there a suspicious man trying to touch you, Mississippi? I am your guard, after all. He's not a suspicious person. She corrected him awkwardly. Panicked, Kinemia Leon asked, Ian, where did you send Lo? Ian Crotz's voice was cold and grim. To the forbidden marble forest in the west. Bring him back immediately. She cried, shocked. He snapped his fingers with a frustrated sigh. TSK fine, if Miss Mia insists. Cash Lo, battered and bruised, radiated a murderous aura, poised for battle. Kinemia Leon was stunned. Lo, are you all right? What happened just now? He frowned uncomfortably. Nothing. You don't look all right, she added. Kinemia Leon scolded Ian. Lo is not a suspicious person. Don't do that again, understand? Ian Crotz replied nonchalantly, understood. Shanti Or lowered his head, nervously, wary. That person, Cash Lo observed him uneasily. He's like a demon, his eyes empty and vacant. He seems even more unhinged than Sinkagan. He was lost in thought when she interrupted. Here, please sign here. Shanti Or's voice drifted from the room. All right, lass. I think I'll lie down for a bit. Things are more or less settled. Kinemia Leon held the contract, beaming. Okay, please rest. For now on, I'll be relying on you. She was ecstatic. Yes, I've officially recruited Shanti Or. Kinemia Leon recalled her previous despondency. Just when I didn't know how to recruit him, a particular book caught my eye. Her grandfather's diary came into view. I can't believe I'm this lucky, she exclaimed. Opening the book, she read, "Oh, it's about Shanti Or and his master." She pondered, why did I suddenly think of reading this diary that I haven't touched in so long? She felt a sense of gratitude. It's as if someone guided me. Sunlight streamed through the canopy in the palace. People bustled back and forth. A passing man asked curiously what's going on. Why are there so many people from the east in the Grand Duchy? A bald man replied, they say they're alchemists. The crowd murmured about the alchemists. I heard the Duchess is converting the temple grounds into a place for the alchemists called, in front of a mansion, a man called out a greeting. Man one, I think, inside the mansion. All right, from now on, Kinemia Leon announced, accompanied by Shanti Or, we will begin the divine medicine demonstration. She gestured. The person representing the injured, please come forward. The injured man flinched. Yes, he called out, inwardly worried. The alchemist's divine medicine. It's not something strange, is it? Shanti Or held a light brown bottle. This is a potion I personally concocted. In the Western continent, it's known as a divine medicine. Its application is very simple. With a sinister, gruff chuckle, Shanti Or poured the medicine directly onto the wound. Just pour it directly onto the wound like this. Another man, feeling like he was dying, screamed. The wound closed. The man groaned in pain. Ugh, quick. The man's eyes widened in surprise. Huh, it doesn't hurt. Shanti Or said confidently, of course. Don't make such a fuss. An onlooker gasped. The wound healed so quickly. Unbelievable. Shanti Or basked in the praise, beaming. The man asked, so, Your Grace, what is the name of this medicine? Shanti Or grinned smugly. It's called Parbo. The crowd murmured in admiration. Ooh, Parbo. What a beautiful name. Meanwhile, Kinemia Leon was looking for Ian Crotz. Ian, she called out. He turned around coldly with a grunt. Kinemia Leon grabbed his hand and pulled him away. Come with me. Ian Crotz looked confused. Where to? She beamed, replying cheerfully, to treat your wounds, of course. Where else? He gave a resigned chuckle and followed without another word. Kinemia Leon pulled Ian Crotz to Hyman Pharmacy No. 1. As soon as she entered, the pharmacists rushed out to greet her, their faces wreathed in smiles. Welcome, fairy. They chirped excitedly. What brings you here? Ah, so cute. I happen to have some medicinal candies. Would you like one? Before the barrage of questions from the alchemist could continue, Kinemia Leon politely replied, Ah, thank you. I'll take some later. She explained the reason for her visit. I'm here today to seek treatment for my guard, Ian. He's suffering from a magically inflicted injury. Could you please take a look? Hearing this, they readily agreed. Of course, fairy. This way, please. Ian Crotz sighed, standing outside. He followed her into the pharmacy. Sitting opposite Ian Crotz was an alchemist. He spoke in a calm voice. Let me examine the wound. Show me the injured area. The alchemist lowered his head to examine the wound. The moment he saw it, he was startled. This is... Suddenly, a voice echoed in the alchemist's mind. Alchemist, can you hear me? His expression was bewildered. The voice continued, Don't be so surprised. Only you can hear me. In the blink of an eye, he understood. You're dead if you dare defy my will. It turned out Ian Crotz was communicating with the alchemist using telepathic magic. The last sentence frightened him. He continued to demand, Tell her you can't heal it. It's incurable because of a curse. Hearing this, the alchemist looked at Ian Crotz in confusion. What? Then he suddenly remembered. Speaking of which, he recalled the pharmacy owner's words. Master Shanti Or had also warned him to be wary of the madman who followed the fairy. He deliberately and repeatedly injured his side, tearing at the wound until it became infected. He couldn't help but exclaim, This guy is crazy. Suddenly, he hesitated, glancing to the side. He thought, but beside me are fellow alchemists. They're looking at me expectantly, wanting to see how skilled I am. This made the alchemist hesitate, asking me to say I can't heal it in front of my colleagues. It's an insult to an alchemist. Then he glanced at Kinemia Leon, thinking, moreover, this is also a perfect opportunity to impress this fairy, the owner of this clinic. While he was lost in thought, Ian Crotz's voice echoed in the alchemist's mind. Hey, are you listening to me? Ignoring the incessant voice, he focused his mind and mustered all his courage to make a choice. Well, I can't sacrifice an alchemist's honor for this childish threat. The voice still echoed in his mind. I'm Ian Crotz. I'll kill you. Nice to meet you, he thought, then turned to Kinemia Leon and said, little fairy, this wound can't be healed even with divine medicine. I sense something like a very powerful curse or magic. As the alchemist spoke, he affirmed to himself. To him, his peaceful present and future in the Crown Prince's territory are still more important. Hearing this, she was slightly disappointed. Is that so? He said reluctantly, I'm sorry, I can't help you. Ian Crotz gave him a thumbs up, a satisfied look on his face. But moments later, the expression on his face changed. His eyes dimmed, lost in thought. That's right, now is not the time for healing. I still don't understand Kinemia. Ian Crotz pondered, recalling various images of Kinemia Leon. Until now, all I know is that she has no magic, but her swordsmanship is exceptional. He remembered her sleepy-eyed appearance while practicing swordsmanship in the morning, thinking she doesn't have much energy in the morning. And she also likes soft creatures like herself. Ian Crotz thought, recalling the scene of Kinemia Leon cuddling and stroking the black cat. He watched her chatting pleasantly with other alchemists in the pharmacy, thinking, although she keeps her distance from me, she can easily get along with others and readily smile at them. Except me. Ian Crotz's eyes filled with sadness, feeling a little dejected. Anyone but me. As he thought this, he froze, not even understanding why he had such thoughts. Ian Crotz stared at Kinemia Leon, thinking, what's going on? Why am I feeling irritated? Suddenly, someone called out to her from behind, Fairy. This made Kinemia Leon turn around in surprise. Ah, Nyampapa. She saw him running towards her and exclaimed, Nyampapa. Nyampapa shouted excitedly. I sensed the presence of a lovely person nearby, so I came right away. It really is little Fairy. Seeing him, he felt annoyed. That clingy guy again. Ian Crotz screamed inwardly. Does he think he's latched onto some amazing person? A sudden surge of anger caused his eyes to emit a purple, killing intent. The killing intent gathered and shot towards Nyampapa like an electric current. The latter quickly detected its presence. Nyampapa focused his power on his feet for support, then he shifted his body slightly to the side, dodging the attack. Despite the sudden assault, Nyampapa showed no fear and his expression remained unchanged. Seeing this, he widened his eyes in surprise. He dodged it. Watching him run over happily, she asked curiously, Didn't bring your kitten today? Kinemia Leon was unaware of what had just transpired, as it all happened too quickly. Mia hadn't seen it clearly at all. Nyampapa replied, The kitten is sleeping in my room. Kinemia Leon explained excitedly, That sounds adorable. It seems it has a new sleeping spot. Meanwhile, Ian Crotz, standing behind them, was still pondering. How is that possible? His gaze was sharp and wary. He thought with just his physical body, he actually dodged the attack. The only ones capable of that are high-ranking Taoist priests on this continent. Ian Crotz stared at him, questioning, This person, who is he exactly? Nyampapa, while saying, I have a gift for the fairy, search for something. She cried out in surprise and excitement. What did he take out? He gave Kinemia Leon a knitted hat with 2 long ears. She happily put it on. Wow, it's so soft and warm. Nyampapa's heart melted because Kinemia Leon looked so adorable wearing that hat. She politely thanked him and asked curiously, Thank you, but why are you suddenly giving me a gift? He gently replied, The weather is getting colder, and I'd be heartbroken if the fairy caught a cold. Kinemia Leon was delighted and confessed, I'm so happy. This is the first time I've received a handmade gift. Hearing this, Nyampapa exclaimed in surprise, Ah. He was stunned. I thought the fairy received 35 handmade gifts every day. She also found it unbelievable, repeating 35. Kinemia Leon chuckled in confusion. What are you thinking? Ian Crotz, watching from the side, felt annoyed and then jealous. While she chatted and laughed cheerfully with Nyampapa, she smiled easily at that guy, Ian Crotz's derogatory term for Nyampapa. Ian Crotz thought, why doesn't she do that with me? He felt a wave of confusion. Feeling a little dejected, he thought, what's so good about always being called cute? There's nothing good about it. Ian Crotz kept staring at the hat, muttering to himself that yarn. Kinemia Leon was fiddling with the hat's 2 strings, grateful for Nyampapa's gift. Thank you so much. She looked down at the hat. A surge of jealousy disturbed him. This is really pissing me off. Nyampapa blushed, affectionately calling out to Kinemia Leon, Fairy. His spirits high, he declared from now on, I'll knit something for the fairy every day. Kinemia Leon was a little embarrassed, but also happy. You don't have to do that. Ian Crotz watched from the side, burning with rage. Just then, someone called her Miss Kinemia. Kinemia Leon turned and walked towards the voice. Yes, I'm coming. She didn't notice Ian Crotz repeatedly attacking Nyampapa with magic, which Nyampapa dodged every time. Someone on the second floor, witnessing this scene, cried out, "Oh my God, it was Shanti Or who was drinking tea." He exclaimed, crazier than Bish and Kagan. He complained, what a waste of my tea. Suddenly, a pharmacy employee approached Shanti Or and respectfully addressed him, Master Shanti Or. He asked with concern, "What is it? Did something happen at the pharmacy?" She replied sincerely, "No, I just wanted to express my gratitude." The pharmacy employee slowly said, "I sincerely thank you and your master. Thank you for establishing Hymen #1. Hearing this, Shanti Or was surprised. He asked curiously, "Do you know my master?" She answered honestly, "Although I haven't met him personally, any alchemist would know him." The employee explained, "In my hometown, I was an alchemist all my life, and everyone in the village respected me." Her tone slightly heavy, she continued, "But after coming to the West Continent, I became illiterate, a useless old woman who could barely speak or read properly. For a long time, I was treated that way. I also started to feel worthless, living as if I were waiting to die." The employee poured out her heart, recalling her first days at the pharmacy. She continued, "When I saw the job posting and came to the pharmacy, and after a long time prepared to handle herbs and concoct potions again, and saw everyone healing and saving people, I realized something." The old woman smiled happily. "It turns out I can help others too. I'm not a useless old woman after all. Thank you again, and the master who trained you, for giving me this opportunity." At this moment, Shanti Or silently watched the old woman. She smiled and bowed to Shanti Or once more in gratitude. Before leaving, Shanti Or looked up thoughtfully and finished the drink in his cup, thinking, "I'm not the only one who remembers Master." He looked up at the clear sky, a relieved, heartfelt smile spreading across his face. Today, it felt as if the master he missed so much was right beside him. Shanti Or whispered softly, "Today's drink tastes really good, master." The sky darkened and heavy rain began to fall, as if to add to the gloom of the mansion. Inside the mansion was a terrifying scene mirroring the weather outside. Frightened gasps mingled with footsteps in the hallway. A trembling voice rang out, "If you're so powerful." The owner of the voice shrieked, "If you're so powerful, then kill me." A blood-soaked figure trod the hallway, slowly approaching him from the darkness. Ian Crotz still stood in the darkness. He tilted his head and gave a light, menacing smile. "How could I do that, Ryan?" Ian Crotz said leisurely, "I can't let you die so easily." Hearing this, Ryan stumbled back in terror, stammering, "Saint, stay back." Ian Crotz gradually closed in. "I knew you were stupid, but I didn't think you were this stupid. Did you really think you could kill me?" Ryan struggled to retreat, shouting, "Stop, stop." Ian Crotz bent down, his eyes meeting Ryan's. "Let me teach you a lesson. Even if you're an idiot, you have to learn to reflect on your arrogance." Ryan's eyes widened in terror, mumbling incoherently, "Duchess, what are you going to do?" Ian Crotz, still wearing that innocent smile, thrust straight into Ryan's eye socket. It happened so fast that all he could manage was a gasp of shock. Ryan stammered, "EYEMYI." He repeated like a broken radio, "My EYE.MYI." Ian Crotz smiled triumphantly. "That's right, Ryan. These are your eyes." Ryan roared, seemingly driven mad. "Give them back. Give them back." Ian Crotz nonchalantly tossed the eye onto the ground. "From now on," he said, staring deep into Ryan's remaining, crazed eye, "every time you see that empty socket, it will remind you of everything that happened today. This is the price you pay for daring to attack me." His one remaining, I was fixated on the eyeball, lying on the ground. Ian Crotz's icy voice rang out again. "So, you don't have to thank me too much." He offered a sincere smile. Ryan let out a blood-curdling scream, jolting awake from the horrific nightmare. He gasped for breath, unable to calm down for a long time. Ryan clenched his fists tightly. "Ian Crotz, I swear I will have my revenge. I'll find everything you cherish, tear it to shreds, grind it to dust, and burn it to ashes. I'll make you spend the rest of your life in endless regret." He roared with hatred, gnashing his teeth as he swore his oath. The warmth emanating from the magic stones filled the spacious room. Kinemia let out a satisfied sigh. She buried herself deeper into the blankets, her cute face flushed. Much better. Vanessa brought over a cup of tea. What are we going to do about you being so sensitive to the cold? At this rate, we'll burn through all our magic stones for the winter. Kinemia replied nonchalantly, we'll just buy more when we run out. Our slime-refined elixirs and supplements are a huge success, she said cheerfully, so why worry about magic stones? Vanessa sighed softly, a little exasperated with her mistress. That's easy for you to say, but the price of magic stones has skyrocketed recently. Vanessa said worriedly. Kinemia, hearing this, asked incredulously what? Haven't they found new veins? Are they not mining anymore? Vanessa explained gently. It seems it's difficult to find people to work in the mines. More importantly, she stopped abruptly, realizing she had misspoken. Kinemia asked curiously, what is it? Vanessa gave a vague smile. It's nothing, just... Kinemia muttered to herself. Just tell me the truth. She pondered. Count Harvey is charging us an exorbitant price. He's a major player in the magic stone industry. Count Duran Harvey, loathing level, 9 out of 10. Threat level, 4 out of 10. His uncle was purged by Regent Kinemia Leon, her grandfather. Kinemia wrapped herself tighter in the blankets and lay down. Even though Count Duran Harvey's grandfather had disappeared a long time ago, the Count still held a grudge, even though his uncle was executed for embezzling tax funds. Staring into the air, she murmured to herself, if that's the case, why don't we mine the magic stones ourselves? Kinemia paused, as if realizing something. Mining Administration Office. The clerk stared blankly at Kinemia, who was busy finalizing the deal. This one, and this one. Oh, and this one too. She smiled radiantly. I'll take everything that village has. The clerk cautiously reminded Kinemia, Your Grace, are you sure? The last dungeon you selected has no monsters, so it won't produce any magic stones. She replied cheerfully, yes, that's fine. Hearing this, the clerk hesitated. All right, then, I'll process the transaction for you. Kinemia's smile widened, thinking to herself, a mine without monsters naturally won't have any magic stones. But it has something more valuable than magic stones. Mithril. Kinemia happily envisioned the future. No one has discovered mithril in this mine yet, so it's like insider trading in the stock market. The clerk softly announced, your purchase has been completed. The clerk smiled. Now, Your Grace, you can send people to clear the mine. Oh, by the way, have you hired a guild to raid the mine yet? Kinemia asked blankly what guild. Slowly, it dawned on her. That's right. Kinemia thought, why? What am I doing? I was so busy buying the mine that I forgot about the guild. Wait, pause. Let me explain the guild situation. In this world, we are currently experiencing a shortage of combat guilds. This crisis began a few years ago when one of the largest combat guilds, Nightfall, announced its disbandment. Therefore, from today onwards, I will hang up my sword. Because Nightfall was built on teamwork, when the leader left, the members also gave up fighting. This led to a manpower shortage crisis in the combat guild field. But dungeons still needed to be raided, meaning combat guilds were still necessary. The angry merchant said, what guild situation? I don't care. Just give me some people quickly. We need to sell more magic stones as soon as possible. With demand increasing and supply lacking, a series of illegal guilds emerged, attempting to profit. A group of people stood up resolutely. Need a mine raided. Leave it to us. You can trust us, veteran warriors. Dear customers, no, esteemed guests. Practical tactical experience, 1 week. As a result, these scammers started attacking mines, stealing magic stones, and then disappearing without a trace. Mrs. Sego, 58, mine owner. If the guild runs away, how can we catch them? I spent my life savings buying this mine, and now I can't sleep at night. Kinemia pondered. There are few reliable and experienced guilds left, and I don't have any acquaintances to recommend one. I'm ultimately an outcast. Suddenly, a voice interrupted her thoughts. Shanti Or approached with a bright smile. Why are you sighing like the sky is falling? You'll scare away all your good luck. Kinemia turned and called out, brother. As Shanti Or had suggested, she would use brother instead of Mr. from now on. She hesitated. Shanti Or shook the bottle in his hand. Come on, don't worry. Alcohol is like medicine to me. Kinemia said seriously, but mother will worry. Shanti Or scoffed. Let that lowly fellow worry. He's the one who gave me gray hairs. Suddenly, there was a loud bang. Cashin Row was blasted black with soot. The surrounding people rushed over with concern. Cashin Row is causing trouble again. At this rate, he'll burn the house down. Shanti Or scolded in exasperation. That idiot is still the same. He asked for help. Listen, I need someone to do me a favor. Kinemia Leon turned to him at his words. Looking at the grime-covered Cashin row, Shanti Or suggested, take him somewhere else and find him something to do. All right, she asked, surprised and suspicious. But isn't he learning alchemy from you? He frowned and complained. That kid just calls himself my disciple. I never agreed to teach him. Besides, alchemy isn't suited for him. Kinemia Leon was both surprised and confused. Oh, is that so? Shanti Or assessed seriously he'd better use his strength elsewhere. After all, he's a Cashin. She lowered her head absent-mindedly. Ah, Cashin, HM. As soon as she finished speaking, Kinemia Leon froze, standing still for 5 seconds. She exclaimed in shock, Cashin. Are you saying Cashin row of Nightfall? He said indifferently, oh. So you know him? Shanti Or added. Well, that idiot used to lead some Nightfall guild or something. Kinemia Leon was dumbfounded, thinking Cashin Row was the leader of Nightfall. She cried out in disbelief, Hiya. Cashin Row scratched his ears irritably below. Oh my god, my ears. In a spacious palace. From today onwards, Ryan's confinement is lifted. Ian Crotz sat with his legs crossed, saying coldly, is that so? The angry little bird scolded, you impudent brat. You should listen carefully when Master is speaking. It referred to Ryan, reminding Ian, you know he's an ambitious man. We can't predict his next move, so we must always be vigilant. The little bird said worriedly, something will always go wrong if we're not prepared. Ian didn't turn his head, saying indifferently, but Master, even if Ryan is determined to die, he's still no match for me. Ian Crotz concluded, you know that, right? It gave up its smugness, thinking, and that's exactly what drives Ryan mad. The little bird changed the subject. Enough, enough. Speaking of which, haven't the signs of your second awakening appeared yet? He was concentrating on crocheting something, replying concisely. My joints have been stiff lately. It commented, perhaps it's about to begin. You're going to suffer again. The little bird looked at him helplessly, hesitating, but Ian, it pondered. What have you been doing lately? Is that a cursed magical tool? Ian Crotz didn't answer, only focusing on the work in his hands. After a while, he confessed, as you can see, I'm knitting. The little bird chuckled. It teased, so this is what you're bad at. Aren't you just twirling yarn? You call that knitting. Piles of yarn were scattered on the floor. Ian Crotz said impatiently, be quiet, Master. The little bird asked curiously, but why are you knitting? It's not like you at all. He retorted curtly with 3 words, just bored. Ian Crotz remembered Kinemia Leon's happy smile. This is the first time I've received a handmade gift. Thank you, I'm so happy. He frowned, cursing himself. Damn it, why do I keep remembering that scene? The Cashin, inheritors of the desert, possess extraordinary physique, abilities, and superior combat instincts. After the oasis dried up, the Cashin migrated to the Empire, and he began working for the Nightfall Combat Guild. Nightfall quickly rose to fame, excellently completing every commissioned task and earning a reputation. Everyone believed that Nightfall's golden age would last forever. But one day, for some unknown reason, the guild leader washed his hands of the business and retired. Just like that, Nightfall gradually faded into history. And now, it was that very leader, Cashin Row, holding a newly knitted hat, smiling brightly and saying, little fairy, I knitted you a wool hat today. He had become a master crocheter. She, Kinemia, sat opposite him, saying gratefully, thank you, Row. She thought, his craftsmanship is unparalleled. Kinemia Leon pondered sadly, thinking of the world's strongest swordsman abandoning his sword because of that sword. She recalled asking Shanti Or curiously, Brother Sean, why did he leave Nightfall? He revealed, I heard that the sword he treasured as his life was broken. Kinemia Leon was puzzled. Shanti Or explained that they were the Desert Twin sword from Cashin, Row's homeland legends. It was said that the swordsman's soul resided within the blades. He, Cashin Row, claimed his soul was lost that day and subsequently abandoned the swords. Shanti Or had once thought in disappointment, how absurd. What's a sword if not a sword? A truly skilled craftsman never blames his tools. Does he, Cashin Row, have to be so different? Shanti Or recalled a time when he and Cashin Row were whittling wood together. Cashin Row claimed he had completely given up on swords, but Shanti Or, suddenly realized something. He, Cashin Row, would look at the knights wielding their swords. Shanti Or said, whenever the Duke's knights trained, his, Cashin Row's, gaze couldn't leave them. In the past, Cashin Row's eyes had shone like the sun. Shanti Or lamented that even though Cashin Row claimed to have lost his soul, his eyes still sparkled like a child seeing their beloved toy. Back in the present, Kinemia Leon called out Ro. Cashin Ro, gently asked, "What is it, little fairy?" She sat across from him and seriously asked, "Have you ever thought about picking up a sword again?" Cashin Ro frowned, not answering. He retorted, "Did Master put you up to this?" Kinemia Leon frankly replied, "Well, Shanti Owen told me about it." A newly knitted hat and a cup of tea sat on the table. She said, "Everyone says that after losing the twin swords, you also gave up swordsmanship. But as someone who has used a sword, I know." Kinemia Leon looked straight into Cashin Ro's eyes, wanting to confirm the truth, that you still want to pick up a sword, right? Right. She sincerely offered, "If the reason is that you haven't found a sword you like, I'll make one for you." He sighed helplessly, "Little fairy." Cashin Ro explained, "The twin swords are the most exceptional swords on this continent. They accompanied the leaders of the Cashin tribe through countless battles. They carry the history and soul of the Cashin. They were my comrades." He turned his head dejectedly. "There are no swords in this world greater than the twin swords." Kinemia Leon firmly stated, "Then I will also forge a sword just as magnificent." Cashin retorted, "Impossible." She remained steadfast, "No, it's possible." Kinemia Leon resolutely proposed, "I'll do it. Unless you're afraid, try it." Cashin Ro, frowned thoughtfully, not answering. He firmly stated, "No matter what sword you give me, I won't use it." She ignored him, sticking to her opinion. "You really are as stubborn as everyone says." "Fine, then we'll see." Kinemia Leon challenged, "I want to duel you." Cashin Ro was stunned, incredulous. What? She was determined. "You know you can't refuse a duel, right? Just 3 moves? No magic allowed." Here, dueling is a tradition of the desert region. Once a challenge is issued, it must be carried out until the challenger gives up. Cashin Ro, didn't want to fight, objecting. "But, little fairy, this duel is absurd." Cashin Ro, both worried and surprised, urged, "You can't win against me." Kinemia Leon retorted, "How do you know the outcome without a duel? How do you know without fighting?" She smiled confidently, "I believe in my people." Kinemia Leon proudly and firmly declared, "They can definitely forge a sword that surpasses the twin swords." Elsewhere, the Behemoth sisters were dumbfounded, their faces full of confusion. "Hey, Lana." Lana Behemoth coldly refused. "We're not doing it." The words were like a bolt from the blue. Kinemia Leon, shocked and disheartened, let out a mournful ah. Sarah Behemoth, sweating profusely, shouted in bewildered disbelief, "A sword that surpasses the legendary twin swords. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Just thinking about it is an insult." Sarah, clutched her hair, wailing in regret. "It's too cruel. We didn't even get a chance to touch it before it shattered into pieces." Kinemia Leon slowly soothed, "Both of you, calm down and look at this." The Behemoth sisters listened quietly. A basket of mithril was placed in front of them. The sisters looked at it curiously. Lana asked, "Is this?" Lana Behemoth sat down and poked it curiously. Sarah Behemoth exclaimed, "I've never seen or this color." Kinemia Leon, explained, "This is mithril, newly discovered in that mine." Kinemia Leon encouraged, "I want you to forge a sword for me using this. Don't put too much pressure on yourselves. Just think of it as an experiment with new materials." The sisters exchanged excited glances. They both seemed to understand. One of them smiled confidently, both sisters excited. "A new challenge, huh? Interesting. I'll give it a try." Kinemia Leon, said happily, "Thank you." Kinemia Leon, looked at a pile of boxes next to her and asked curiously, "What's this?" She suddenly realized. A beautiful, glittering bracelet appeared. Sarah Behemoth explained, "It's a bracelet for the upcoming Friendship Festival. It's a special gift with the purchase of a slime." Sarah, leaned towards Kinemia Leon and suggested, "Your Highness, is there anyone you'd like to give a gift to? I can make a few for you." Kinemia Leon, murmured thoughtfully, "Friend, can I choose the color?" Kinemia Leon held a gift box in her hand. Kinemia Leon, hesitated outside the door. "Friend," she thought. I immediately thought of him, thinking nervously and anxiously, will he like it? I just hope he doesn't throw it out the window like last time. She saw Ian Crotz walking out of the room. She thought to herself, "Aha," and tentatively hid behind a nearby pillar, thinking target acquired. Hesitantly and shyly holding the gift box, Kinemia Leon thought, I always tease him. I feel a little embarrassed giving him a gift now. She sighed dejectedly. How should I give it to him now? He appeared from behind her, a bright smile on his face. Good morning, Miss Mia. Startled, she screamed, ah. The gift box in her hand fell. Kinemia Leon scolded angrily. Ian, don't scare me like that. Where did you come from? Ian Crotz said casually. I sensed you were nearby, so I teleported over. The bracelet lay forlornly on the ground. He bent down to pick it up, thinking, what's this? She stammered awkwardly, this. I panicked a little. I wasn't supposed to give it to him now. Kinemia Leon explained. Oh, I heard it's the friendship festival today. Ian Crotz's face fell. It's the day friends exchange bracelets. He thought suspiciously, could it be? Crotz asked coldly, did that monkey give it to you? Kinemia Leon said in a fluster. Huh, what monkey? Ro, she said, no one gave it to me. It's for you. Ian Crotz exclaimed in surprise. Kinemia Leon emphasized, I made this for you. Hearing this, Ian Crotz blushed. He asked again for me. Kinemia Leon replied shyly, I heard it's the day friends exchange gifts today. Blushing, she lowered her head and continued, and I thought of you, Ian. Ian Crotz remained silent. Kinemia Leon thought anxiously, why isn't he saying anything? She said, it looks like a child's toy, right? If you don't like it, don't throw it away. Just. Ian Crotz, however, disagreed. He complimented, it's beautiful. Ian Crotz approached Kinemia Leon. He said excitedly, this bracelet is really beautiful. I want it. Kinemia Leon couldn't help but feel shy. She was happy. I'm glad you like it. Ian Crotz suggested, Mia, put on me. Kinemia Leon replied, okay. Ian Crotz watched tenderly as she fastened the bracelet around his wrist. He shared, this is the first time I've had a friend. How about you, Mia? Kinemia Leon replied, me too. The maids standing outside the door sobbed to each other. Our lady finally has a friend. Waiting for this precious moment was worth it. So touching. They called out, Vanessa, come quickly, you have to see this wonderful scene up close. Vanessa replied, wait a moment, I can't stop my tears. She looked up, saw something, and cried out in surprise, huh? A butterfly was flying in the air. Vanessa was a little surprised. It's already winter, and there's still a butterfly. Cashin Rogue gripped his sword, his gaze firm. Kinemia Leon was a little flustered by the sight before her. She thought, it seems to be related to swordsmanship, even though Ro is wearing elegant clothes. Ian Crotz approached and called out, Mia. Kinemia Leon responded, yes. He gave her a bright smile and said, if you want to deal with that monkey, just tell me. I'll take care of everything for you. Kinemia Leon said helplessly, calm down, Ian. Kinemia Leon asked, by the way, how are you feeling today? She was a little worried. I think you haven't been feeling well lately. Ian Crotz replied, I'm fine, because Mia cares about me. He raised the hand wearing the bracelet and said excitedly, because I'm wearing this friendship bracelet, I feel much better. Kinemia Leon replied happily, well, I'm glad you like it. Ian Crotz's expression turned serious. He asked, so what's your real plan? I'm so curious. Kinemia Leon just smiled and said, it's a secret. She walked towards Cashinro. Kinemia Leon spoke first. The behemoths are currently forging that sword called Bone Sword. What do you think, Ro? Ro replied, not bad, but it can't compare to the twin swords. Kinemia Leon agreed, I know. She slowly drew her sword. Even so, Kinemia Leon affirmed, I assure you, this sword will be better than the twin swords. Ro looked at her in surprise. He asked, is this the new sword you promised to forge for me? Kinemia Leon replied, yes. It was a sword with a peculiar blue hue, radiating a sharp energy, meticulously forged and compact. Ro frowned, thinking it looks flashy, but he said directly, a good sword doesn't mean you'll definitely win. Ro continued, little fairy, with all due respect, the difference in strength between us is too great. Besides, you're too small. His voice echoed in the room. You'll never become a powerful swordsman, unlike me, who was born with a healthy and tall body. But Kinemia Leon ignored him. She said, if you'll stop with the provocations, we'll begin. Kinemia Leon raised her sword, taking a fighting stance. She stated confidently, I'll prove to you that this sword is enough to make up for the difference in strength. Ro thought to himself, she's serious this time. He thought about Kinemia Leon. No magic within 3 moves. Ro calculated, I'll take 2 moves, block the third. He told himself, I must control my strength so I don't hurt her. Just then, Kinemia Leon suddenly rushed towards Ro. Ro thought in surprise what? Looking at the sword, he exclaimed, this sword's resilience. Suddenly, Kinemia Leon swung her sword. She dashed behind Ro, who was still stunned, his sword clattering to the floor. Ro, still astonished by the sword, looked at the broken blade in his hand and exclaimed, it's broken. Kinemia Leon tentatively asked, well, What do you think of Duchess Leon's new sword? Ro, regaining his composure, turned to her and asked, Little fairy, that sword, what is it exactly? Kinemia Leon replied, It's made from a newly discovered, or mithril. She teased, So, do you still think there's no better sword than the twin swords? Ro looked at her silently, then shook his head. I've lost completely. My prejudice has crumbled. Ro continued, Forgive me, little fairy. Kinemia Leon, holding the sword, said gently, If you want to apologize, then take this sword and let go find the scattered members of Nightfall together. She proposed, Become Duchess Leon's knight, Ro. Ro replied, It will be my honor to serve you, little fairy, but I don't know if I'm worthy. Ro continued, Because of my stubbornness and because my comrades are scattered, frankly, I don't know how to face them. Kinemia Leon asked softly, Do you know what your expression was like when you saw this sword, Ro? She went on, It was the same as my brother's when he first saw the orphanage. Ro was taken aback. Kinemia Leon continued, I completely understand the pain of losing the twin swords that you gave to Mother. The twin swords weren't just swords. They were a comrade. But, she shared, I think the twin swords would understand. An image of Ro holding the new sword appears. How brightly Ro will shine when he wields another sword. Ro's eyes widened in surprise at Kinemia Leon's words. Wouldn't the twin swords be happy if Ro found new companions? Making new friends doesn't mean forgetting old ones. Kinemia Leon continued with a smile, just like how Ro has always cherished the twin swords, right? Ro was silent for a moment, then knelt and said, I Kashin. Ro lowered his head. Ro, swear an oath in this oasis that I will be loyal to Duchess Kinemia Leon. Kinemia Leon panicked. Huh, is it a swordsman's oath? She was a little flustered. Wait, Ro, doesn't a swordsman's oath mean that you'll dedicate your entire life to me forever? She thought, I just wanted to sign a contract with the Nightfall Guild. Ro replied, You don't want to. Then I have no choice. He raised the broken sword towards himself and said, If my master refuses, then I can only die. Kinemia Leon said helplessly, That's a bit extreme. Ro expressed, Hearing your words, little fairy, I thought about how the twin swords must have felt. He recalled the twin swords and continued, The twin swords are royal swords, and they might be difficult to wield at first, but if you face them with trust, they will dedicate everything to their master, responding to their expectations. Ro concluded, So, just like the twin swords, I want to dedicate everything to you, little fairy. Hearing this, Kinemia Leon looked at Ro in surprise. Ro raised the sword towards himself again and said, But if my master refuses my oath with my life. Kinemia Leon shouted to stop him. Wait, I accept. Fine. She had a thoughtful look. I accept your oath. Kinemia Leon handed the sword to Ro and said, Kashin Ro, I bestow this sword upon you. Ro lowered his head and accepted it, thinking yes. Kinemia Leon instructed, You can rest now. Starting tomorrow, as the leader of Nightfall, you'll have a lot to do. Ro replied, Understood. I look forward to serving you, little fairy. Kinemia Leon thought excitedly, To think I've retained the strongest combat guild. I've overcome another hurdle. Now I'm going to make a fortune with magic stones. She happily looked for Ian Crotz. Kinemia Leon called out, Ian, why are you so quiet? Do you think my plan is going well? Suddenly, she froze. Ian Crotz was lying motionless on the floor. She called out, Ian. That night, Kinemia Leon kept watch by Ian Crotz's bedside. She suddenly looked forward. Sandian rushed in. Kid, I've been waiting for you. Kinemia Leon cried out, Brother. Sandian asked, What's wrong with him? Kinemia Leon replied, I don't know. He was already unconscious when I found him. She added a request for help. Can you take a look at the wound on his waist? It hasn't been treated in a long time. Sandian replied, Understood. He said, We need divine medicine. Kinemia Leon said hesitantly, The problem is that wound can't be treated with divine medicine. She exclaimed in surprise, Huh? Looking at Ian Crotz's wound, Kinemia Leon asked suspiciously, The wound has healed. She continued, Because of the curse, it should be healing very slowly, and divine medicine shouldn't work on it. Sandian looked for a moment and replied, I don't know why I would lie to you, but this wound, he's torn it open many times himself. He thought he's insane. Sandian continued, He doesn't want it to heal. There must be a reason. Kinemia Leon was still surprised. Huh. She recalled their conversation in the cell earlier. Until the wound on his waist is completely healed. Her eyes were downcast. Sandian continued, Well, however, maybe this wound isn't the reason he collapsed. He asked, Has he seemed unwell lately, or been acting strangely? Kinemia Leon replied, Yes, he's been having headaches recently. She continued, And he often feels stiff in his joints. Sandian nodded. I see. He concluded, I'm not entirely sure, but it seems he's about to undergo his second awakening as a mage. Kinemia Leon asked, second awakening. Ian Crotz remained unconscious. Sandian explained briefly. Simply put, this is a stage where a mage's magical power grows explosively. His body can't handle the sudden surge of magic, so it's been damaged. He added reassuringly, this is a natural process for mages. Don't worry too much. He'll wake up soon. Kinemia Leon breathed a sigh of relief. That's good. Sandian walked to the door. I'll go prepare some medicine to help him recover. Kinemia Leon replied, yes, thank you, brother. She continued to sit quietly and wait. Kinemia Leon thought. So he kept the wound open because he thought I would abandon him if it healed. She clutched her skirt tightly and whispered, Ian. Suddenly, a soft voice murmured, you idiot. Hey! Kinemia Leon looked up in surprise. Ian Crotz was still unconscious, but he kept muttering numbers, 99, 98. Kinemia Leon stared at him in shock, thinking, are these Ian Crotz's thoughts? He worried, could it be that they really left me and will never come back? Fond memories flashed through his mind. Even so, I'll keep waiting. No matter how many days pass, I'll count to 100 again and again. Ian Crotz continued counting, 87. Kinemia Leon took his hand and comforted him. It's all right, Ian. She climbed onto the bed, lay down beside him, and gently patted him. I'll never abandon you. In his dream, under the tree, the counting continued. 15, 9, 6, 5. The counting went on, for someone wearing black shoes stood under the tree. 3. Ian, blindfolded with a black scarf, stood under the tree and kept counting. The road was empty, and the surroundings were pitch black. 2, 1. He suddenly opened his eyes. That dream again. Why do I keep having that damn dream? He thought, no matter how much I count, there's never anyone there. Suddenly, a sound came from beside him. He turned to look. He froze at the sight before him. Mia. She was sleeping next to him. Is this a dream too? She woke up. Why is Mia here? He reached out to touch her hair. Suddenly, she sat up. Ian, you're awake. How do you feel? Are you all right? She asked anxiously. Of course I'm fine. Did I worry you? He gave a faint smile and asked in return. She threw herself into his arms and hugged him. He froze. He suddenly collapsed. Do you know how scared I was? He was surprised to hear this. I heard the second awakening is painful. Why didn't you tell me? She continued to chatter while holding him. He remained silent. Sorry for worrying you. It was just a small cold. Nothing serious, he mumbled. But did Mia take care of me all night? She had released him now, and he asked, why is Miss suddenly being so nice to me? Haha, did I do something wrong? The morning sun shone into the room. Ian, she hesitated, unable to say, I was very worried about you, but her face was filled with concern. So, if you feel any pain or discomfort, tell me, okay? He paused after hearing this. No matter what happens, I'll take care of it for you. Oh, right. She continued, I have to call a doctor to check on you. She turned to get out of bed. You must be hungry too. I'll prepare something to eat. Suddenly, he grabbed her hand. Could Miss stay like this for a little while longer? She turned and looked at him in surprise. Please. He lowered his gaze, his face flushing. She turned back and stared at him blankly. The scene shifted to the living room area. Oh, so the kid really said that and kept her there. A voice chirped, oh my. By the window, a small yellow bird chirped near the living room. He's finally acting like a human. That's great. The door suddenly opened. I apologize for keeping you waiting. I am Kinemia Leon. She entered, dressed in a white gown. It is an honor to meet the esteemed magic ruler. Alfred Man turned to look at her. The honor is mine to meet Leon's new wing, he replied instead. She thought the Tower Master came personally. So Ian really is Rekisa, Mage King, the master of the Magic Tower. Alfred Man, the leader who commanded the powerful Mage Legion that ruled the entire continent. Although he had to remain focused, according to the first Tower Master's will, the surroundings were indeed luxurious. But he looks so young, she mused. In reality, he's probably about the same age as my grandfather. He continued to smile at her. It's a rare opportunity to greet the Tower Master like this. I must do my best, she thought worriedly, her hands clasped tightly. I deeply apologize about Ian. The people of the duchy will do everything in their power to help him recover. He spoke first. There's no need to worry too much. No mage has ever died from the second awakening. He gestured to the table. Let's sit and talk. Yes, thank you, Your Excellency, she replied respectfully. Alfred Man raised a hand to stop Kinemia. Wait a moment. She was bowing and about to sit in the chair opposite him, but stopped at his words. Alfred Man gestured to the chair beside him, smiling warmly. Kinemia, why don't you sit here? Unsure of what was happening, Kinemia cautiously approached the chair and sat down. Yes, she quickly composed herself and put on a standard smile. I'll go prepare some tea, Tower Master. What kind of tea would you like? Alfred man interruptet here. Grandpa. Kinemia was puzzled. What? He maintained a smile brighter than any flower and turned to her. Call me Grandpa. Tower Master sounds too distant. She stammered, asking again, Grandpa. Alfred Mann said casually, isn't this better? It sounds intimate and warm, and I've always wanted a granddaughter. Kinemia hesitated. Alright. She thought to herself, I mean, if the Tower Master really wants me to... She glanced at Alfred Mann shyly and tried calling him Jar Grandpa. Kinemia's cuteness overwhelmed him, and tears of happiness streamed down his face. Oh my goodness, so cute. You really call me Grandpa. Panicked, she thought he's crying. Is he really all right? Kinemia softly thanked him for the compliment. Thank you for your kindness, sir. Alfred Mann smiled kindly, thinking to himself, the more I look at her, the more adorable she is. Before, I could only watch from afar in the form of a lark, but when I saw her in human form, I realized she's an admirable and strong little thing, and very polite too. Thanks to this little lady, I can even see Ian acting more human. Thinking of Ian playing with a ball of yarn, Alfred Mann chuckled softly. Kinemia, sitting beside him, watched him smile, unsure of what was happening. Lost in thought, Alfred Mann suddenly remembered something. I have a request. Kinemia listened attentively. Alfred Mann gently suggested, I'd like to stay here for a few days to look after Ian, if you don't mind. Kinemia happily agreed. Of course. I'll make sure everything is prepared for a comfortable stay. He smiled gently. Thank you very much. I'll be in your care for a while, miss. The sky was clear, clouds drifted lazily, green trees provided ample shade, and warm sunlight bathed every corner of the land. It seemed as if every day would pass by peacefully like this. In contrast to the aforementioned scene, a dark and narrow room appeared. The flickering candlelight in a lantern barely maintained any brightness, and the room was filled with objects depicting butterflies. Ryan slammed his fist against the wall. Damn it, he thought resentfully, Kinemia Leon. Why wasn't she affected by the magic? What's going on? How is that possible? That Ian Crotz must have prepared something beforehand. Ryan frowned at the thought. At least it proves that the Duchess is important to him. Good. He summoned a butterfly, plotting something in secret. This is troublesome. There's no other way, then. It has to be done. Ryan commanded, gather my mages. We must buy some time, so only call the most skilled ones. Then, bring me a strand of hair from the person closest to the Duchess. The butterflies flew towards Kinemia's mansion to retrieve Vanessa's hair. Night fell upon the Lyon mansion, and every corner was brightly lit, brimming with a joyous atmosphere. The streets were bustling with people coming and going. Kinemia worriedly asked Ian in a low voice, Ian, are you really all right? Can we go out? He looked towards the street and softly replied, yeah, I'm fine. But Ian closed his eyes tiredly. Why do we have to wear these troublesome clothes? Kinemia patiently explained, today is the day of the returning dead. Dressing like this helps the deceased enjoy themselves comfortably. He clearly wasn't very interested, replying vaguely, A servant announced in a low voice, Miss, we're ready. Kinemia politely replied, thank you. She raised her voice and cheered, Tada. Seeing Kinemia, Ian seemed unable to tear his eyes away. Kinemia happily told him, Ian, these are couples' outfits. Today's theme is cute little vampires. She asked expectantly, what do you think? Ian stared at Kinemia, blushing, and hesitantly said, really? Sarah and Lana interrupted him, complimenting Kinemia with beaming smiles. So cute. She turned to the two of them, drawing out her words, cute. Sarah and Lana quickly replied, yes. Kinemia playfully raised her claws. If you two don't give me candy, I'll bite you. Got it. Charmed by her cuteness, one offered candy while the other vied to be bitten by the little devil. Kinemia, please accept this pile of candy and then bite me. No, bite me. Kinemia pouted. You're supposed to be scared, and if I get candy, why would I bite anyone? Sarah and Lana said regretfully, is that not allowed? I want to be bitten. She turned to Ian and instructed, all right, Ian, you have to threaten them for candy. He quickly caught on. Threaten? Understood. Jan gled, emanating a tritening goha. Give me candy, or I'll kill everyone here except Mia. Sarah and Lana, unafraid, shrieked playfully, so cute. Come and kill me. Then, Lakosa, give me candy too. The two of them casually joked with Ian. Kinemia, standing beside them, was rather worried, anxiously thinking to herself, Ian seems serious, doesn't he? No way. After the playful banter, Sarah suddenly remembered something important. Duchess, I have something I'd like to give you. Kinemia asked curiously, what is this? A small, glittering dagger. Please accept this. This is a gift from Ser Behemoth to Miss Kinemia Leon. Kinemia gasped at the sight of the dagger. Oh my, it's beautiful. Is it a dagger? Lana Behemoth replied, yes. I made it with the remaining mithril to thank you for the generous reward. As she handed it over, Ser Behemoth covered her mouth, and Lana continued, anyway, we are very grateful, Mississippi. Please accept it. Lana Behemoth, I designed it so it could be worn as a necklace. Kinemia Leon looked at the small dagger and said, that's a great idea, isn't it? I made it specifically to resemble a piece of jewelry. In a quiet night, her joyful voice filled the air. I love it. Thank you so much. We are the ones who should be thanking you. Mississippi, enjoy the rest of the evening. Kinemia Leon and Ian Crotz left the palace. She said cheerfully, I've only just met the Behemoth sisters, and my basket is already full of candy. Here, these are for you too. Ian Crotz tossed 2 purple candies into Kinemia Leon's basket. Her eyes widened. Why are you giving them to me? He replied, because you're cute. Isn't it because you're so adorable? Kinemia Leon blushed slightly, unsure of what to say. I have to give out all the candy before I see Haman. Ian, are you coming too? Ian Crotz looked up. Just then, fireworks suddenly bloomed in the sky. An idea struck him. Mia, you go ahead. I have something to do right now. I'll catch up with you as soon as I'm done. She looked dubious, but agreed. Kinemia Leon. All right. Ian Crotz leaned closer to her and said, be a good girl while I'm gone. Okay. Mississippi. Kinemia Leon replied blankly, of course. Do you think I'm a child? Kinemia Leon. Okay, just be quick. He waved goodbye as he reminded her. I'll be there soon, Mia. Kinemia Leon's mind was still filled with questions. What could he possibly have to do? Did something happen? In another palace, a voice called out, Vanessa, are you in there? She opened the door, poked her head in, and called her name. Vanessa, you're here. Why didn't you answer? I thought you were out. This was Kinemia Leon speaking. Vanessa turned her head and smiled. Kinemia Leon approached her and said, Vanessa, I have some things I want to put away. Kinemia Leon, so much candy. Is there a place to put it? Vanessa grabbed her hands with both of hers and exclaimed, Miss, your hands are so cold. Come sit down and have a cup of hot tea before you go. Kinemia Leon was startled, thinking, Vanessa's hands are freezing. Kinemia Leon, I'll have some later. Ian will be here soon. Please have some tea, Vanessa said as she poured the tea. It's better to drink it while it's hot. Kinemia Leon stammered, Vanessa, are you all right? Your hands are too cold. She was still diligently pouring the tea. While Kinemia Leon was puzzled, Vanessa tilted her head and hesitantly said, Miss, run. Kinemia Leon still didn't understand what was happening. Vanessa, you can't drink this. She put the teacup down, splashing the tea onto her own hand. Then Vanessa pleaded again. Please have some tea. Kinemia Leon's eyes widened in alarm. Sensing something was wrong, she abruptly turned and ran, leaving Vanessa flustered. Kinemia Leon ran off, but stopped when she heard a shout. She turned around. Vanessa kept persuading her, have some tea. It's not poisoned. Why are you so nervous? Seeing that persuasion was ineffective, Vanessa pulled out a knife and held it against her own neck, threatening, if you don't drink it now, I'll kill this woman. The knife was pressed tightly against Vanessa's neck. Notably, a blue butterfly was fluttering around the teacup, looking like Ryan's familiar. Kinemia Leon observed the butterfly, thinking, is this butterfly controlling Vanessa? Who could do such a thing? She turned her gaze to the teacup in Vanessa's hand. It seemed there really wasn't any poison in it. Kinemia Leon thought, if the goal is to kill me, perhaps they would use a knife instead of tea like this. As she pondered, Vanessa urged, stop stalling, drink it. Kinemia Leon thought again, they'll be all right without me, right? She closed her eyes in distress. Fine. Kinemia Leon reached out for the teacup. Kinemia Leon, I'll drink it. Outside, the shadows of the trees swayed and a cold wind blew ominously. One figure lay on the ground, while another sat slumped against a wall. The blue-haired young man groaned in pain. Ugh. The other person said, you said you wanted to avenge your brother. A foot stomped his head into the ground. Was this all your plan? The foot belonged to Ian Crotz. He continued, I was expecting something more entertaining. This is disappointing. I was going to ignore these scratches on me, but even with his head still being trampled by Ian Crotz, the blue-haired young man shouted. Blue-haired young man, Ian Crotz, you monster. Ian Crotz raised an eyebrow. Oh, he pressed down harder. You and your brother are really alike. Ian Crotz, the day your brother attacked me, he said the same thing. He stuttered a bit, but it was all about how I was a monster. The blue-haired young man thought, the appointed time is almost here. A sudden silence filled the space, each person lost in their own thoughts. Ian Crotz tilted his head in confusion. He glanced at the two Frank soldiers slumped on the ground, thinking, what's going on? They should be attacking me now, but they're deliberately stalling, like they're trying to draw me away from someone. The blue-haired young man struggled, shaking his head beneath Ian Crotz's foot. His eyes widened as if he'd suddenly remembered something. The image of Kinemia Leon flashed through Ian Crotz's mind. Could it be Mia? He pressed down harder on the young man's head. What did you do to Mia? Though defeated, Frank's brother on the ground laughed mockingly. Too late, he gloated. The appointed time has come. As he finished speaking, the great bell tolled. Ian Crotz's eyes widened in shock as realization dawned. In a darkened room, the space was dim. Dice hung ava. Kinemia Leon hung her head, her face etched with sadness and despair. In the weapon-filled room, she thought dejectedly, where is this? Her hands were bound. Kinemia Leon was stunned. What is this? She thought frantically. I'm tied up. Someone entered. Ah, you're awake. Ryan sneered, emphasizing Duchess Lyon. Kinemia Leon faced him, wondering, I've never seen this man before. Who is he? She asked him. Where's Vanessa? He answered casually, Vanessa. Perhaps she's sleeping soundly in the Grand Duke's mansion. Her eyes widened in confusion. Kinemia Leon attempted to negotiate. What do you want? Money. Land. If it's a family feud, I'm willing to compensate. Ryan burst out laughing. He stepped forward and opened a box. Do you think a high-ranking noble mage like me would need such trivial things, Mississippi? You know nothing about this world. Bound. She sat opposite him. Ryan asked, did Ian never tell you about this mage? Kinemia Leon looked up, wondering, Ian. She worried. Did they capture me because of feud with Ian? He opened the box, smiling slyly. Ian once said, the box contained pliers, knives, and needles. He said coldly, killing is actually quite easy. Ryan sat in a chair, menacingly. From the moment that monster gouged out my right eye, I've been waiting for this day. I can't let you die so easily. Kinemia Leon cursed inwardly. That man. He's insane. She thought desperately, I have to find a way out of here. Thinking calmly, there must be a way to escape. He slowly picked up the pliers. Kinemia Leon looked grimly at the chains, thinking, first, I need to find a way to break these. Her hands were tightly bound. She realized the solution, the necklace. Kinemia hesitated, afraid, with this. I can break the chains. But she calculated, if I move, it'll make a sound. Kinemia Leon put on a pitiful act, pleading, please. I was wrong. Ryan turned to look. She lowered her head, pretending to tremble with fear. Please, save me, mother. He ignored her, turning away. So noisy. This is why children are so annoying. Kinemia Leon continued her act. Oh, I'm so scared. Her eyes were sharp, but her mouth continued to plead. Help me, she decided. I can't delay or hesitate another second. Kinemia Leon lowered her head, pretending to sob. Wah, wah. Ryan cursed in annoyance. Disgusting. He chuckled, a perverse look on his face. Ian, that damn monster. She seized her chance. It must be quick and precise. Ryan startled, his brow furrowing in confusion. Kinemia Leon attacked with lightning speed. Caught off guard, he was struck in the eye and fell back, screaming in pain. Ag, 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 ag. She broke free from the chains. Ryan roared in fury, you brat. Clutching his bleeding eye with one hand, he lunged for Kinemia Leon with the other. Where do you think you're going? She nimbly dodged him. He commanded furiously, get back here. Kinemia Leon quickly ran to the door and escaped. Ryan, clutching his eye in agony, watched her go in a rage. Where do you think you're going? She quickly fled the burning room. He tried to roar after her, get back here. Ryan sat down weakly, his hand conjuring several butterflies, cursing under his breath. He commanded, capture her at all costs. Now, Kinemia Leon ran for her life. Glancing aside, she suddenly noticed a butterfly watching her from outside the window. Kinemia Leon thought in a panic, butterflies. I have to hide. She turned toward another room, looking back. Ryan said triumphantly, running is useless. He threatened, if I find you, you're dead. Kinemia Leon gasped, covering her mouth, thinking, Ian, where are you? She cried out silently for help. Please save me. Bloody footprints stained the floor. Ryan groaned, Doug. He sat down, trembling. Butterflies fluttered around him, scolding, you damn brat. Bring the Duchess here, quickly. Ryan roared at the butterflies. What's so hard about finding a brat? I won't let you leave here with her. He said coldly, filled with hatred. Once you find her, kill her for me. A voice called out, Ryan. The sound of footsteps drew closer. what have you done to Mia? The man asked. Ryan turned around in fright, cold sweat dripping down his face. It was Ian Crotz, staring coldly. He realized with a jolt of panic that Ian Crotz was standing right before him. Ryan collapsed onto the ground, scrambling back in terror. How'd he get here? Were they all captured? A bunch of useless trash. He was filled with both fear and regret. I haven't even done anything to the Duchess yet. Ryan's eyes flashed with murderous intent, his teeth gritted. Ian asked, I asked you, what have you done to Mia? Ryan, drenched in a cold sweat of terror, couldn't utter a word. Sweat pouring down his face, Ryan let out an awkward laugh. He thought for a moment, then said provocatively, I imagine you must be very worried. Enraged, Ian Crotz's expression turned icy, as if he were about to kill him. Ryan felt as though he'd been electrocuted, screaming in agony. Ag, 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 ag. Ian Crotz, his face grim, controlled the magical attack on Ryan while demanding, Mia, where are you? Answer me. Ryan gasped, a cruel smirk spreading across his face. He frantically searched for Kinemia Leon. Where are you, Mia? Seeing Ian Crotz's appearance, his eyes bloodshot and sweat pouring down his face, Ryan laughed maniacally. Ha ha, look at that anxious face. Ian, restless and worried, looked as if he were about to break down. Ryan recalled Ian Crotz's past arrogance and condescending attitude, the image of the popular Ian Crotz. Ryan secretly resented Ian Crotz's indifferent demeanor, always ignoring him, treating him as if he were invisible. That Ian Crotz. Ryan, thought enviously, the next Tower Master's position should have been mine if you hadn't shown up. Ryan declared, the Duchess is dead. Those words shocked Ian Crotz, leaving him frozen in place. His eyes widened in disbelief. Ian Crotz was stunned. A chair toppled over, blood splattered everywhere. Ryan spoke in a taunting tone. Don't you see the blood? Did you think I'd let her go? He recounted how she, Mia, trembled in pain, her last words being. His fist stopped. Ryan smiled sinisterly, mimicking Mia's voice. If I had never met Ian Crotz, this wouldn't have happened. Ian Crotz was thunderstruck, horrified. He unleashed his power, causing a massive explosion, sparks of electricity flying everywhere. Smoke billowed. Ian Crotz stood there, his red cape fluttering slightly. Beneath his feet was a pool of blood, surrounded by a black aura. Bloody footprints marked his path. In the darkness, a thick, dreadful black aura swirled. In a murderously charged room, he called out, Mia, Mia. Ian Crotz slowly walked towards the dark corridor, calling out for Kinemia Leon as he went. Mia, where are you? Outside, people hurried along. Alfred Mann appeared, his expression grim. Benjamin flew to his side, calling softly, Tower Master. He, Tower Master, stood in the magic tower, staff in hand, speaking with him, Benjamin. A gloomy day, Tower Master said. Benjamin, you feel it too, don't you? Benjamin replied, yes. What is going on? He, Tower Master, observed the sky, quickly realizing something was amiss. The sky is pitch black, and the energy is terrifying. The sky was already dim today, so ordinary people don't seem to have noticed. Benjamin asked, Tower Master, this isn't because of magic, is it? Alfred Mann closed his eyes, his expression grave. Benjamin guessed, is this because of Ian Crotz? Alfred Mann, didn't answer, his gaze deep in thought. Benjamin looked at Alfred Mann, who raised his staff, a bewildered expression on his face. Benjamin, thought, Tower Master. The staff emitted beautiful blue specks of light. Alfred Mann, replied, I want to find Ian. Alfred Mann added with interest, you will act as Tower Master in my absence. Alfred Mann, turned to look at him, Benjamin, saying softly, all right, I'll leave it to you. Benjamin watched Alfred Mann disappear, replying solemnly, yes, Tower Master. Please be careful. Back in the dark castle, the dim lighting made the place even more eerie and terrifying. Outside the window, the sky was as black as ink. Kinemia Leon thought fearfully, why is it suddenly so dark? She walked down the dark corridor, shivering, hugging herself tightly. It seems colder. Kinemia Leon thought, thank goodness, I haven't seen any butterflies, but I've been wandering for over 30 minutes and still haven't found an exit. Her eyes dimmed, worry filling her heart. At this rate, will I be trapped here forever? Kinemia Leon clasped her hands to her chest and shook her head. No, I can't be weak now. Ian will. He must have noticed by now. Suddenly, a strange noise came from behind her, startling her. Kinemia Leon spun around. Footsteps. She saw only a dark, deep corridor that seemed to stretch endlessly. Who's there? Kinemia Leon thought frantically. Could it be that guy from before? Her expression faltered. Ian Crotz suddenly appeared, his expression terrifying, eyes wide open, staring straight ahead, his entire body radiating a murderous aura. Kinemia Leon asked blankly, Ian. She asked again, Ian, is it really you? He confirmed blankly, Mia. Kinemia Leon thought, it really is Ian. She ran to him quickly. Ian, why did you take so long? Her eyes widened in surprise. Ian Crotz said nothing. Only tears streamed down his face. Kinemia Leon asked in shock, Ian, are you crying? She cupped his face anxiously, asking worriedly, what's wrong? Why are you crying? Kinemia Leon's concerned words echoed in Ian Crotz's ears. What's wrong? Is your old illness acting up? Are you feeling unwell? He suddenly hugged her tightly. Kinemia Leon was stunned. Ian Crotz began to answer. I didn't believe it. She asked him, didn't believe what? He buried his head in the crook of her neck and said, I didn't believe you were dead. Kinemia Leon said angrily, that guy said I was dead. How dare he scare you like that? What a jerk. She gently raised her hand and hugged Ian Crotz, comforting him. Don't cry anymore, Ian. Holding him, she whispered, I thought you came here because of me. I wanted to be angry with you when I saw you, but now I can't be. Ian Crotz held her even tighter. I'm sorry. In the empty and eerie mansion, only Kinemia Leon and Ian's voices echoed. No, I didn't want you to apologize. I'm sorry, he said, leaning on her shoulder. I'll do anything. Hearing Ian say this, Kinemia Leon thought he must have been terribly frightened. I have to comfort him. Ian Crotz rested his head on her shoulder. Suddenly, Kinemia Leon seemed to see something. Alfred Mann, the Tower Master, appeared. He spoke with a mixture of worry and surprise. Kinemia. Looking at Ian Crotz holding her, Alfred Mann asked, why are you here? He frowned slightly, as if suddenly realizing something. Ian doesn't look well, and this space is filled with Leon's magic. Kinemia is here. A hand on the ground lay motionless. Leon is dead. Then, Alfred Mann's voice rang out. I think I know what happened. Are you hurt? Kinemia Leon's voice replied. I'm fine, and Ian is okay too. She continued, Tower Master, can I go back to the Grand Duke's mansion now? I'm worried about the nanny who was kidnapped. He replied, Ian silently lowered his head, half of his face hidden by his hair, his thoughts unknown. Alfred Mann looked at him, his brow furrowed in confusion. Kinemia Leon's voice rang out. All right, let's go home. Ian left with her. He suddenly called out, Ian. He turned his head slightly. Alfred Mann closed his eyes in resignation and said, come to my room tomorrow. I need to talk to you. Ian remained silent. He quickly turned his head, lowered his eyes, and a voice rang out, let's go back. A magnificent castle appeared before him. The space within the castle was cool and quiet, filled with natural light. Outside the window frame, Alfred Mann sat in a chair and said to Ian, I'm going back to the Magic Tower. He said gently, I'll be back at the Magic Tower in 2 days. Let's go together then. He silently lowered his head in thought. There was no reply. In the silent room, Ian suddenly spoke, I still have some things to do here. Alfred Mann's voice interrupted him. You can't stay by Kinemia's side anymore. His voice grew sterner. It will only put her in danger. Is that what you want? He just sadly lowered his head. Hearing this, Alfred Mann sighed and reminded him, your emotions are too easily agitated when you're around Kinemia. He shared earnestly, it's normal when you're young. Your emotions haven't matured yet. But, Ian, Alfred Mann's voice became serious. This can't go on any longer. Ian remained silent, but his heart was in turmoil, recalling the moment he grabbed Kinemia. His worried voice rang out, you know that too, right? If I had been any later this time, Alfred Mann spoke with worry and hesitation, and your power. I know about that too. Ian finally replied dejectedly. I understand. He stopped speaking and just looked at him quietly. The expression on Ian's face was incredibly sad. He lowered his eyes, pressed his lips together, and tried to control himself. Alfred Mann closed his eyes slightly, his heart resolute. Unfortunately, I can't be lenient. A dangerous and gloomy image seemed to appear before his eyes. Alfred Mann calculated in his mind, I still don't fully understand Ian's power. If what happened today were to happen again. Suddenly, Ian's voice rang out, interrupting his thoughts. He clenched his fists slightly. I can control my power. I can control myself. Ian's eyes became pleading. Then, can I stay with Kinemia? Alfred Mann was somewhat surprised, turned to look at him, and replied, well, only. Before that, Ian's heart was in turmoil. Even if it takes many years, even a lifetime, I can't be sure. His thoughts returned to those happy days. Ian remembered the fun party at the castle, and the image of a band singing passionately came to mind. My friend, my lover, the day of parting has come. Everyone danced together to the music. How could we forget the time we spent together? Boys and girls exchanged smiles, happily immersed in the lyrics. Because we all knew we would meet again, let's raise a glass and celebrate. The lyrics still echoed. Rather than shedding tears, let's look forward to our reunion. Ian stood quietly, observing everyone at the banquet. Suddenly, he shifted his attention when he heard someone call his name, Ian. Ian saw Kinemia from afar. She waved at him, smiling brightly, and asked, have you been waiting long? He replied, it's all right. What did you buy? Kinemia replied cheerfully, candy for the nanny. She suffered a lot these days, so I wanted to give her a small gift. Thank goodness she's safe. Both were dressed according to today's costume theme, picnic lady and knight. She suddenly grabbed Ian's hand, making him widen his eyes in surprise. Oh, look, what are they doing over there? Kinemia glanced at him, slightly embarrassed, and said, let's go too. Ian softly replied to her, yes, let's go, Mia. The string lights brightened, illuminating the sky, and the fragrance of flowers sweetly filled the night air. Kinemia and Ian strolled together. They encountered a clown who conjured a small golden flower, similar in color to her hair. Kinemia accepted the flower with a carefree smile. Ian smiled gently, walking beside her. Walking side by side, she softly said, this is fun. I think we've seen everything, haven't we? He replied briefly, probably. Kinemia suddenly asked Ian, are you feeling better? He asked in surprise about what. He didn't look very happy. Her words made Ian freeze. Kinemia smiled sadly. If it's because of what happened that day, I'm really okay. Vanessa was also worried. Kinemia recalled the past, Vanessa hugging her tightly while crying, Miss, I'm sorry. Everyone is safe. No one was hurt, right? Kinemia gently comforted her past self and gently comforted Vanessa. Vanessa, stop crying. You know what to do now, right? Kinemia continued, and whenever I encounter something sad or difficult, I always remember a phrase. Don't try to erase painful memories, but fill them with happiness. She closed her eyes and smiled faintly. I said that in the past. Kinemia had also hugged Vanessa. Then she said that the incident must not have been a pleasant memory for Ian either. So let's fill it with happy memories together. Ian looked at her with emotion. Kinemia smiled brightly and turned to him. We still have a lot of happiness in the future, right? Hearing these words, Ian's gaze seemed unable to move away from Kinemia's figure. He seemed to want to engrave her deeply in his mind. Ian hesitated, Mia, E. A loud boom drew Kinemia's attention. She looked up at the sky. The fireworks have started. While looking up at the fireworks in the sky, Kinemia said to Ian, let's go somewhere where we can see them better. It's hard to see from here. He said softly, hold on tight, Mia. Ian wrapped his arms around Kinemia's waist and flew up. As they hovered in the air, she hurriedly wrapped her arms around his neck to steady herself. Seeing the scenery from a new perspective, Kinemia exclaimed from the bottom of her heart, wow, it's so beautiful. On their way to the clock tower, she turned to Ian and asked curiously, why the clock tower? He replied casually, I think this is the best place to see the fireworks. Ian gently set Kinemia down on the edge of the tower. After making sure she was standing securely in a safe place, he crouched down beside her. Ian watched intently as Kinemia enjoyed the fireworks. He softly asked, how is it? Can you see clearly? She turned around, startled to see the fireworks blooming behind the handsome young man, who was smiling gently at her and softly asking, how is it? Kinemia's heart skipped a beat. She stared at the incredibly beautiful scene before her. After regaining her composure, she quickly turned her face in another direction. It's high up here, and there's no one else around. It's wonderful. Ian breathed a sigh of relief. That's good. Then Kinemia fell into thought. Is my heart beating so fast because I was startled? It must be. Ian called her name seriously, Mia. He unexpectedly announced, I've decided to return to the magic tower. Kinemia was stunned by the news. She said dryly, when? Ian said seriously, tomorrow, when Master leaves. I'll be leaving too. Kinemia asked in shock. Why so suddenly? He smiled wryly. Some unexpected things happened. I'm sorry to tell you so late. She sadly lowered her eyes, thinking, I thought we would be together forever, even though he kept trying to push me away. Kinemia clenched her fist slightly. You should have told me sooner. Ian apologized. I'm sorry. I didn't have the courage. She sadly accepted the fact, saying logical words. Well, it's time to go back anyway. Rikosa can't leave the magic tower unattended forever. Ian was surprised to hear her say that. He lowered his eyes and teased her. Aren't you going to beg me to stay? Then let's go now. Kinemia wasn't fooled and replied bluntly, Are you planning to live at my house forever? Then you'll have to pay rent. Ian suddenly made a request. Mia, can I borrow your hand? Although Kinemia didn't understand, she extended her hand. He fastened the bracelet on her wrist. Kinemia stared at it. It was a friendship bracelet. Ian nodded. That's right. It's your belated connecting day gift. Kinemia looked at the small, pretty crocheted strawberry, asking uncertainly, Did you make this, Ian? He replied softly, Yes. I learned in the sewing room. Kinemia stared at the bracelet, genuinely grateful. It's beautiful. Thank you. Suddenly, she realized something. She looked at the purple stone. Isn't this the charm from the bracelet I gave you? Ian smiled faintly. He lifted his hand, revealing the bracelet on his wrist. That's right. I swapped them. This one is mine. He looked down at the bracelet. Every time I see this blue gem, I immediately think of you. Ian's hand stroked the blue stone on his bracelet. So I hope that every time you see it, you'll think of me too. A look of vulnerability flickered across his face. Mia, what if you forget me? Kinemia stared at him, shocked. She quickly grabbed Ian's sleeve. No. Fireworks burst overhead. Kinemia said confidently, I won't forget you. She promised sincerely, never. I'll never forget. Ian gazed at her stunned. He smiled genuinely. At some point, their hands had intertwined, sharing warmth. Ian gently reassured her, I'll be back soon. I promise. Kinemia gazed at the fireworks blooming in the sky. The brilliant fireworks on their day of parting seemed to herald a hopeful future. My friend, my love, the day of parting has come. She looked at Ian. How could I forget the days we spent together? So, instead of letting tears fall, let's raise a glass together and look forward to our reunion. The two leaned close together on the clock tower, watching the fireworks. Let's raise a glass together. 5 years later, the sky was blue and the sun was shining. Seaman's Bay was crowded with people, buyers and sellers bustling about. In the bustling market, vendors' cries rose and fell. Come and see, everyone. We have a new miracle cure for sore throats. Come and see. A vendor asked the person opposite him, medicine for fatigue. Let me see. Then he continued, Do you often experience hot and cold flashes? A man's footsteps approached. He thought to himself, Sigh, why is this place always so crowded? Can't they trade somewhere bigger? He scanned the crowd, thinking, oh my goodness, this place has been expanded several times already. The medicine here is very effective, so of course, it's always packed. Jimmy Golden walked down the corridor. The Duchess prioritizes selling things to the people in her territory. Isn't that a good thing? I wonder who started spreading the rumors that she's gradually becoming a villain. He stopped in front of a door. Jimmy Golden looked around. Looking at the scene inside, he thought, it seems I've come to the right place. Then Jimmy Golden walked on, pondering. The shop is packed like sardines. No wonder the higher-ups are so worried. After a moment of thought, he made a decision. We have to stop this momentum before Seaman's Bay's influence expands further. Suddenly, he stopped, his face filled with alarm. Find that sly fox, Chantillon, and deal with him. Jimmy Golden stopped abruptly. Standing before him was a girl holding a metal shovel. Kinemia spoke. What? He was startled by her appearance. Jimmy Golden thought, oh my goodness. She spoke here. Kinemia Leon added softly, outsiders are not allowed. He saw her beauty and marveled inwardly. How can there be such a beautiful person in the world? She looked at him and asked again, did you hear me? Kinemia said coldly, answer me. Jimmy Golden was stunned. He said, Then he thought, judging by her appearance, she must be a worker here. So beautiful, yet working in the fields. He quickly introduced himself. I'm Baron Jimmy Golden. I accidentally got lost here, but the garden behind is so beautiful. I stopped to admire the scenery. She lowered her eyes and spoke softly. Kinemia Leon replied indifferently. So what? Didn't you hear me clearly? Outsiders are forbidden to enter this garden. Jimmy Golden's expression changed, and he broke out in a cold sweat. He thought, usually, commoners are scared out of their wits when they hear about nobles. But why is this young lady speaking so freely? Is she so arrogant because of her beauty? He quickly explained, Miss, you must have misunderstood something. I really just got lost. Footsteps approached. As he spoke, Miss Chantillon appeared behind him and said, "How is the experiment going?" Jimmy Golden turned around in a panic, his face full of confusion. He exclaimed in surprise, Chantillon. Shanghai, how did he suddenly appear? His expression darkened, but Chantillon wondered who this was. Jimmy Golden stammered, I'm Baron Jimmy Golden. But she suddenly said, the intruder. Kinemia Leon continued, I think he's a cultist. Jimmy Golden turned his head in surprise, wondering how she knew. Waving his hand, he hurriedly explained, intruder. No way, absolutely not. I was just wandering around here, and then I noticed. Chantillon narrowed her eyes and said coldly, there's a pretty young lady here, so I thought I'd chat her up. You're so beautiful. Spend some time with me. Jimmy Golden's face froze, as if glued in place. He scratched his head, his eyes darting around, and said, He rolled his eyes and fainted on the spot. Kinemia Leon and Chantillon looked at him, lying unconscious on the ground. Chantillon said, child trafficking is nothing but an outlet for their frustration. Kinemia Leon asked suspiciously, did you kill him? Chantillon replied, I just knocked him out. Inside a quaint wooden building, Jimmy Golden was tied up and restrained by two people. Kinemia Leon said, when will the cult get tired of this game? Chantillon replied, right? Ever since the Red Blight cure received Emperor Rongel's commendation, they've sent people here countless times. She continued coldly, what is the Red Blight? A plague spreading through the empire. Those infected turn red in the face and die. The two dragged an unconscious person into the room. Her voice echoed, they can't control the epidemic because they're incompetent and they're distracting the sea people. Those cultists are always scheming. It seems they're worried about their declining influence in the empire. Kinemia Leon said to Chantillon, wouldn't it be better if they focused on saving more lives instead of undermining us? Chantillon replied, it's a disease spreading among the commoners. What can you expect from those fools who prioritize treating the nobles? Kinemia Leon sighed and said, the Grand Duchy is also a problem. We have to get the Red Blight under control as soon as possible. The two continued their conversation. Chantillon, the vitality grass still isn't responding. Kinemia Leon, yeah, there's no sign of it sprouting. We need to cultivate it successfully soon to produce more medicine for the Red Blight. Chantillon continued, this plant originally grew in dungeons, so it's difficult to cultivate outside. She added, plants are like people. When they leave their place of origin, they definitely have a hard time adapting. Kinemia Leon's expression darkened, and she murmured, I'm sorry, Vitality Grass. You must be homesick. You've suffered. Seeing her strange behavior, Chantillon asked in confusion, what are you suddenly doing? That's weird. Kinemia Leon said casually, you said they're like people, so I thought if I talked to them nicely, they would listen. Hearing this, Chantillon sighed and replied helplessly, Miss, those plants aren't going to grow just because you do that. Suddenly, the sound of heavy running footsteps came. A scream rang out, Miss. Kinemia Leon asked in surprise, Vanessa. The girl named Vanessa ran over, breathless, holding an invitation in her hand, and continued, the invitation has arrived. Hearing the words invitation, Kinemia Leon replied, it's just an invitation. There's no need to rush. We'll just send a rejection letter like usual. No, Vanessa explained breathlessly. This isn't just any invitation, Vanessa continued. It's an invitation to the coming-of-age ball. Hearing this, Kinemia Leon froze. Her eyes widened, and after a long moment she asked blankly, what's that? Vanessa affirmed, the coming-of-age ball. Chantillon spoke up, sound great, huh? Vanessa replied happily, yes, isn't it wonderful? That's why I was worried this invitation wouldn't reach Miss. An unusual silence caused Chantillon and Vanessa to turn around and ask together, what's wrong? Kinemia Leon felt like the sky was falling. She couldn't believe her ears, repeatedly denying no how. Why did I receive an invitation? Why would I go to the coming-of-age ball? Holding her head, she said in a daze, no, that's a coming-of-age ceremony for young masters and misses who have just come of age. The coming-of-age ball in the Empire is hosted annually by an influential noble. Only those who receive an invitation from the host can attend. To obtain this invitation, young ladies and gentlemen need to attend social gatherings and build connections from a young age. In the year they turn 17, they visit the host with lavish gifts, doing everything they can to curry favor. This is a custom in the Empire's social circles. But why? Kinemia Leon asked herself, holding the invitation in both hands, I didn't do anything. Why would they invite me? Sunlight filtered through the trees and leaves, making them appear even more vibrant. Several cups of overflowing tea and a plate of leftover pastries sat on a small chair. Chantilon lay leisurely on a stool next to the chair, with a teapot and dessert plate beside her. Suddenly, a hand holding a gardening tool rose, and the small shovel pierced straight through her coming-of-age ball invitation. Chantilon sighed. Honestly, a groaning sound of still came from Kinemia. Chantilon grumbled irritably. Good heavens, the sky is falling. How long are you going to sulk? She went over to the huddled Kinemia Leon and coaxed. Isn't it wonderful to be invited to the coming-of-age ball? Many people would love to go, but can't. Take this opportunity to meet some people your own age. Kinemia Leon retorted tearfully, but all high society knows is that Kinemia Leon is a duchess in name only, with nothing left but the faded glory of the past. Images from the past flashed through her mind. A loner who can't fit in with the nobility. What kind of duchess is she? That Lyon girl, right? People say she hides away in her territory all day and never comes out. Her eyes unfocused, she wrung her hands. They only invited me so they can watch me make a fool of myself with nervous chatter. That's definitely it. Chantilon gently comforted her. Those are just your assumptions. Maybe they sent the invitation because they're genuinely curious about your status. She shook her head repeatedly. Impossible. The image of a stern, cold man appeared before Kinemia Leon. Because Duke Rosslyn is the host of this year's coming-of-age ball. Chantilon's expression changed as something occurred to her. If it's Rosslyn, Kinemia Leon interrupted her explanation. Yes, Rosslyn, a key figure in the cult. She recalled the confrontation with him, feeling restless and uneasy. I suspect he was also behind the cult's withdrawal from the Grand Duchy. It seems the cult has already planned to completely withdraw from the Grand Duchy. Kinemia Leon slumped back down. With the current animosity between the Lyon family and the cult due to the Red Blight incident, and Duke Rosslyn, a cult supporter, inviting the Lyon family to the coming-of-age ball, what could this possibly mean? She speculated. Is it to control the Lyon family? She affirmed exactly. Kinemia Leon confided. He even has a personal grudge against the Lyon family. It's an old story. Duke Rosslyn's daughter fell in love with Mia's father. She even broke off her engagement for him, and a business investment went down the drain. Chantilon stroked her chin, her expression grave as she pondered. She muttered lazily, so you can't not go. Kinemia Leon responded sadly. It would be extremely rude to receive an invitation and not attend. Chantilon sat beside her and stroked Kinemia Leon's head encouragingly. Well, then you just have to face it head on and do your best. Kinemia Leon hugged her knees dejectedly. Brother. Chantilon continued to stroke her hair, comforting and encouraging her. But you have to go no matter what, so try to be happy. Wouldn't it be a shame if you were disheartened and couldn't enjoy yourself? Chantilon tried to encourage her. Even if they have prejudices against you, show them your sincerity. I believe that will make them want to understand you and develop a good impression of you. Kinemia Leon looked over, fighting back tears. Maybe everyone will hate me, she worried. Chantilon gazed into the distance and asked calmly, really? Chantilon looked at the smiling maids and gestured. Look around. Aren't there many people who know what a good person you are? The nanny beamed with a bright, happy smile. She gave a specific example, like your nanny, for instance. The conversing lords were also mentioned. The lords and the Aeyan family. Even the Behemoth sisters who were delighted with the new product. The Behemoth sisters. The girl smiled happily. Even everyone in the territory. There are many people who know the real you. Chantilon patted her shoulder encouragingly. There are so many people who truly care about you, and they are all ready to help you whenever you need it. Miss, you know everyone loves you. Kinemia Leon looked up, her eyes sparkling with wonder. Blushing furiously, she asked shyly, brother, could you possibly also? Chantilon sighed in mock exasperation. If I didn't like you, would I be willing to stay here with you in these muddy fields? I'm very busy, you know. The two sat in the grass, talking heart to heart. Chantilon continued, and there's someone who cherishes you very, very much. She suddenly exclaimed, speak of the devil. Kinemia Leon turned to look. Cash Low, like a wild beast, had been accelerating from the very beginning. She suddenly realized. It's Low. His eyes were wide, radiating a murderous aura, emphasizing Leo. Cash Low shouted each syllable distinctly. Kinemia Leon stood up to see. He lunged forward and hugged her, exclaiming joyfully, I'm back. She winced, caught in his tight embrace. The two spun around hand in hand. Kinemia Leon said happily, you're back. Did work go well? Cashflow replied tenderly. I missed you so much, Fairy. Chantilon stood in the corner, sighing in exasperation. It's like they've been reunited after 10 years apart. They were only separated for 3 days. Cashflow frowned with concern. By the way, what were you talking about? Why does Fairy look so worried? Hitting a nerve, Kinemia jumped, retorting, is it that obvious? The sky was clear, with fluffy clouds drifting by. Kinemia Leon denied. Cashflow could hardly believe it. His face flushed with joy and excitement. You receive an invitation to the coming-of-age ball. Everyone will love Fairy. He showered her with praise. Why worry? You're so lovely. She became flustered and shy. Kinemia Leon said worriedly, maybe it's because I've never had friends my own age. Cashflow froze, hesitating for a moment. But if we're talking about friends your age, he exclaimed, as if trying to awaken her, isn't there, Ian? Kinemia Leon stared blankly. She lowered her head, lost in thought, murmuring, oh yes, that's right, him. Chantilon nudged his shoulder in confusion. Hey, about that. Cashflow froze, letting out a defeated ah. Kinemia Leon clasped her hands, worrying to herself. That's right. She smiled gently, like the setting sun. It's all in the past. Kinemia Leon made an excuse to slip away. I'm going back to my office. I forgot to do something. Cashflow, agreed. Go ahead. She turned and left. Chantilon nudges Cashflow's shoulder, scolding, you idiot. Cashflow, humbly offered no resistance. In the middle of the hallway, warm sunlight streamed in. Kinemia Leon thought as she walked, rather than that invitation. She remembered Ian Crotz's gentle smile, secretly hoping, I'd rather receive a letter from Ian. Contents of the letter. To Ian. Hello, Ian. The weather has gotten warmer recently. Is everything all right at the Magic Tower? Kinemia Leon was earnestly writing a heartfelt letter. I recently read a book that said magicians in the Magic Tower fly around using magic. I'm so curious. Tell me if it's true. The Grand Duchy is the same as always these days. Nothing special. However, it feels a little empty without you here. She smiled expectantly. I hope you can come visit me at the Grand Duke's castle this time. The trees were tinged with autumn colors. Kinemia Leon, with a bright smile, handed the letter to the butler. She checked the other letters. Kinemia Leon held many letters in her hand, smiling happily. She contemplated as she drafted another heartfelt letter. Hello, Ian. I heard from the Tower Master that you are doing well. I'm a little sad that I haven't heard from you directly, but it's okay, I understand. Ian is a Rikaisha, so you must be very busy, right? I've also been busy these days preparing for the opening of the new Hayman branch. Since it's the first branch, the Grand Duchy is filled with a festive atmosphere. Yesterday, I baked and ate the cake you like. Next time you come, I'll make lots of delicious snacks for you. Come if you want to eat them. Winter arrived, and snow covered the castle. Kinemia Leon continued writing, it's been a while, Ian, hasn't it? I'm writing this letter to ask how you've been lately. A look of sadness crept onto her face. The Tower Master always says you're doing well. Please write back to me if you have time, even just a short greeting. I'm not sure if you'll ever read this letter. Kinemia Leon's eyes were filled with disappointment, tinged with sadness. She carefully folded the letter. Kinemia Leon resolutely threw it into the fireplace. The letter slowly charred in the flames. Then it disappeared. In Kinemia's room, shoes of various colors were laid out. Vanessa exclaimed, oh my, oh my. The gorgeous jewels amazed her. The dazzling ball gowns made her hesitate. Miss Kinemia Leon put on a beautiful dress. Vanessa complimented, this one is also beautiful. Pink suits you very well. She, Kinemia, listened quietly as she, Vanessa, continued to murmur beside her, but that yellow one from earlier was prettier, wasn't it? If you want to really stand out, it's better to wear something more glamorous, right? Vanessa came to her side happily and said, because this is Mrs. First public appearance. Kinemia lowered her head and replied, sadly, it doesn't need to be that glamorous, Vanessa. My goal in attending this debutante ball is to be as inconspicuous as possible. She thought to herself, it's better to attract less attention. Do you have any clothes that can disguise me as a tree or a piece of furniture? Vanessa thought, how can this person be so spiritless? Vanessa tentatively asked, have you practiced your dancing well? She replied, I have. She recalled the instructions from her dance lessons. Miss, you must carefully choose your dance partner. They must at least have looks, intelligence, title, and assets. This time you must choose the most perfect gentleman based on their conversation, family background, and appearance. Baron Romeo, the dance instructor. Then she added, although I probably stepped on Baron Romeo's feet 5 times. Vanessa happily congratulated her. Oh my, that's wonderful. At first, you stepped on his feet more than 20 times. Kinemia, sighed dejectedly. Humph. Vanessa began, by the way, this year is a little different. Kinemia asked, puzzled, how is it different? Vanessa, replied, usually debutante balls are hosted by the ladies, but this year it will be hosted by His Grace, the Duke. It seems his wife is still recuperating. Kinemia, asked, why does she need to recuperate? Vanessa replied, Duke Rosalind's wife has a chronic illness. It's said that Duke Rosalind supports that cult because of it. What a devoted husband, isn't he? She rested her chin on her hand, pondering. I see. Duchess Rosalind has a chronic illness. As if remembering something. Wait, I originally thought they only invited me to make a fool of myself. She thought of the Alchemist Guild. Could it be his interest in Aeyan number 1? He donates a large sum to the church every year, hoping to cure his wife's illness, but there's been no progress. The image of the man talking to the priest. He researches in his room, searching for other ways to treat the disease. He eagerly reads the newspaper in his hand. The newspaper article discusses Aeyan number 1 developing a mysterious medicine that can cure the Red Calamity. Aeyan number 1 operates in the Grand Duchy of Lyon. The emperor himself praised Aeyan number 1 and its owner, Duchess Kinemia Leon. Kinemia deduced that, thanks to the cure for the Red Calamity, Aeyan number 1 quickly became famous in the empire. If he's interested, then I can understand why the cult has been trying so hard to gain control. Aeyan number 1, she pondered. Of course, these are just my guesses, but I still feel. She remembered Chantillon saying those people don't understand you. Then she reflected, just like me, because I've never met Duke Rosalind directly, so I can't know what kind of person he is. He looked at her tenderly and said, even if they are prejudiced against you, show them your sincerity. She remembered those words. The scene changes to the hall, where musicians are playing violins. The banquet guests are dressed in gorgeous attire. A young lady's gaze falls upon a young man. He smiles back, whispers from above, oh my, it seems Miss Sherian has found a dance partner. Sherian, holding a glass of wine, says, also, I heard that Duchess Kinemia Leon, who is supposed to attend today, hasn't arrived yet. The surrounding people murmur, Duchess Kinemia Leon. Is that the one famous for her exceptional business acumen? From her young age. She replies, yes, because of that toy called Slime or something, my child really wants to meet her. The people around her chime in, my child too. One parent says dejectedly, even though he's already 17, he still loves playing with that thing. Those standing around agree. My child too, me too, me too. They continue their curious chatter. I'm really curious what kind of person she is. I've never actually seen her interact with social circles. It's terrible to say, but according to rumors, her appearance is extremely frightening. I've heard that too. Is that why she's always been hiding? The gossip intensifies. Furthermore, they say she's quite eccentric. It wouldn't be surprising to call her a demon. Oh, how terrifying. Kinemia Leon walks in. Are those rumors true? The gatekeeper notices her. He's stunned. The whispers continue. No one has ever seen the Duchess in person. It's all just rumors. They're still talking about her. Is it true or not? Kinemia steps into the brightly lit hall. We'll find out today. A voice rings out, causing everyone to turn their heads. Allow me to introduce Duchess Kinemia Leon. Sherian widens her eyes in astonishment. A sparkling purple ball gown. The banquet guests are surprised by her appearance. A beautiful necklace adorns her pale neck. The other attendees stare at her wide-eyed. Kinemia's beauty is like a flower. She gently scans the crowd. Kinemia stands at the entrance, all eyes on her. A girl in a pink dress covers her mouth in surprise. Ah, other haughty nobles share the same thought. So beautiful. Duke Rosalind looks at her, thinking, unexpected. A man in a white suit says, I can't believe the Duchess actually came. She's been confined to her own territory this whole time, so it must have been difficult to find a dance partner. He sneers. I hope nothing embarrassing happens. Duke Rosalind glances at him, thinking, you pathetic fool. Looking at his arrogant demeanor, he further assesses. He only inherited the Marquis title because he's the eldest son, a guy who messes everything up. Why does he have to criticize the Duchess? He turns to Duke Rosalind and asks, right? He's met with a long silence. Embarrassed by the situation, he puts on a bright smile and says, I'll go greet the other guests. Excuse me. Duke Rosalind doesn't even bother looking at him, simply saying, as you wish. He continues to observe the banquet with his wife, watching Kinemia. Duke Rosalind marvels. She really looks like her father. She replies, I agree. Then she continues, I originally had a good impression of the Duchess. She ascertained the real reason we sent the invitation and then promptly delivered the divine medicine, right? Because of that, even though she's young, she's called the Merchant Duchess. He closes his eyes slightly and replies, there's still some things that need to be confirmed. Memories of her surface. She speaks, don't be too harsh, dear. I understand you're still upset about Philly, but that wasn't the Duchess's fault. Duke Rosslyn continued to observe her, thinking decisively. I won't let personal feelings influence my choice of business partners, but I'm simply curious how the Duchess will react now. At this moment, she was looking somewhere else. He thought, I haven't replied individually to the divine medicine the Duchess sent. She sent the medicine over, so it seems she's someone who knows how to seize business opportunities. This requires wit and courage. Duke Rosslyn couldn't help but feel a sense of anticipation. So, what will Duchess Leon do next? Everyone, seeing her appearance, began to murmur amongst themselves. A girl whispered, she's so beautiful, completely contrary to the rumors. Maybe she sent someone in her place to avoid embarrassment. Another person said, no, that person must be the Duchess. They compared her to her father. She looked exactly like the late Grand Duke Troy Lyon. Miss Sherian thought that elegant demeanor, coupled with that composure, she concluded, even though her reputation had declined, the aura of the head of the long-established Grand Duchy of Lyon was still clear. Moreover, as an admirer, she felt the Duchess was truly extraordinary. Wonderful Duchess. Contrary to her calm exterior, her inner thoughts were quite turbulent. She consoled herself, calm down, Kinemia Leon. Kinemia thought to herself, things seem to have become more difficult. But the more she tried to calm down, the more anxious she became. What should I do in the ballroom to appear natural? Looking around, she decided, I must find the most inconspicuous place to sit. A servant appeared beside him. Kinemia thought to herself, Duke Rosslyn. And beside him, she was a little surprised, was the Duchess. The Duchess was looking at the person beside her. She looked at the scene before her and happily hurried up the stairs. Kinemia thought, excellent, it will probably succeed. Her sudden appearance startled the other person into exclaiming, oh my. Looking at the person before her, the lady said, Duchess. Kinemia bowed. Please allow me to express my respects to you, Duke Rosslyn. She continued, I'm very grateful for your invitation to this significant event. He thought, Duke Rosslyn watched her actions and speculated. Now everyone's attention is focused here. Yet she came to greet me first. Just one wrong word or action could spread rumors, becoming an indelible disgrace. The Duchess, known as the Wing of Lyon, came to offer her greetings. He wondered, is this merely the confidence of youth? She suddenly spoke, startling him, the Heyman No. 1 divine medicine I sent the other day. How was its effect, Your Grace? Kinemia looked at him expectantly. The surrounding people were shocked by her words. Duke Rosslyn used the Heyman No. 1 divine medicine. They murmured amongst themselves, but isn't Heyman No. 1 the rival of the cult? How reckless. Their relationship with the Rosslyn family isn't good, so they likely won't hear anything positive. Another woman said, but she looked towards Duchess Rosslyn and guessed the Duchess, who's been absent for a while due to illness, is able to attend the banquet today. Duke Rosslyn deduced, could it be thanks to the Heyman No. 1 divine medicine? Is this her purpose? While he was focused on reasoning, Duchess Rosslyn was also curious, approaching me, the cult's biggest sponsor, and letting everyone know that I used that thing, and it was effective, thereby promoting Heyman No. 1. Both she and her husband were pondering, sending the Heyman No. 1 divine medicine to me, a supporter of the cult, and then asking for my impressions. Everyone present seems quite surprised and bewildered by what was said. How bold. Kinemia Leon listened, her gaze slightly lowered, somewhat sorrowful and quiet, as she received no response. He pondered this reaction. Could it be a negative effect? The effect was excellent. Duke Rosslyn's eyes seemed to be contemplating something very serious. I am quite satisfied with the Heyman No. 1 divine medicine. Kinemia Leon's cheeks flushed with excitement, her eyes brightening. That voice echoed through the hall. I'm glad you liked it. She confessed, I know you have a close relationship with the cult, but I sent the medicine with the sincere hope that it would help the Duchess. Thank you for your understanding. Meanwhile, hearing this, he furrowed his brow in curiosity. Kinemia Leon expressed her desire. I am still inexperienced, so I am very much looking forward to hearing the assessment of an esteemed individual such as yourself. We are considering opening Heyman No. 1's next branch outside the Grand Duchy. Duke Rosslyn frowned, analyzing her expression. he replied. I originally thought the Duchess was like her father, the former Grand Duke, but now I find she is also very much like her grandfather, Sir Kenneth. She recalled the image of her grandfather with a puzzled expression. My grandfather? If I recall correctly, he made enemies everywhere and then was poisoned to death. Kinemia Leon thought, I don't know if this is an insult or a compliment. Duke Rosslyn continued, merchants always meticulously chase profits, but sometimes beyond that, you need to master the art of understanding people's desires. Sir Kenneth could see through everyone's desires, and he had the ability and determination to fulfill them. It seems the Duchess has inherited his resolute gaze. Kinemia Leon was startled, even stammering, I inherited my grandfather's. Duke Rosslyn emphasized, although he always achieved his goals, he also made many enemies in the process. Before he could finish, his wife gasped, Dear, why bring that up? What's the point? Kinemia Leon wondered, is this also an insult? Then, turning, she gently took Duchess Rosslyn's hand and said frankly, Duchess, please don't mind my husband's words. He's just trying to be difficult. Duchess Rosslyn's eyes crinkled with amusement. Her words were indeed pleasant. It's my honor that you accepted the invitation. Thanks to the divine medicine you sent, my health has greatly improved compared to a few weeks ago, so I sincerely wanted to thank you in person. I also hope that Aeyan number 1 will certainly be established in our duchy, right, dear? Her words surprised Kinemia Leon even more. Duke Rosslyn agreed with his wife, adding, I'm very much looking forward to it, Duchess. Kinemia Leon didn't respond immediately, thinking to herself, so the next branch of Aeyan number 1 will be opened in Duke Rosslyn's territory. My goal for today has been perfectly achieved, but shouldn't the Duchess also enjoy this debutante ball? The question was directed at Kinemia Leon. Looking at Duchess Rosslyn, she replied shyly, well, actually, my purpose today wasn't this party. Duchess Rosslyn tried to persuade her, but you still shouldn't waste the opportunity to attend this rare debutante ball. Then Duchess Rosslyn shyly covered her mouth. It seems many people want to dance with the Duchess. As soon as she finished speaking, a figure appeared, causing Kinemia Leon to freeze. Watching the person who appeared before her, holding a wine glass and walking towards her, she thought, that person, Baron Romeo, is the one who taught me to dance. Handsome face, enormous wealth, a distinguished title, and a robust physique. Holding a glass, he's the perfect image of an ideal man. Kinemia Leon looked back, and there was even a group of girls standing outside, unable to contain themselves when they saw Baron Romeo appear. Those girls secretly looked at him with yearning and admiration, and dozens of people were lining up, hoping to be his dance partner. It's best not to get involved in a love triangle. Otherwise, I'll end up like my father, having to flee crowded places. This was her thought. After much deliberation, Kinemia Leon finally spoke. Duchess, please excuse me. I'd like to get some fresh air in the garden. Duchess Rosslyn replied, the garden is still under renovation, so the facilities aren't complete yet, especially the areas further from the castle are quite messy. Kinemia Leon accepted this messiness in order to leave this crowded place. It's all right, just for a little while. The girls continued to take turns lurking outside the door, listening to their conversation. Duchess Rosslyn cautioned, then please be careful. Don't get too close to the areas under construction. They're old and dangerous. Thank you, Duchess. Kinemia Leon thought, there's no place more dangerous than here right now. Outside, it was raining heavily outside. Inside that domed structure, she sat down, looking at the eaves of the dome. It seems the rainwater is splashing in. The rain was heavy. Kinemia Leon hadn't brought a cloak, and she stood there, hugging her arms. So cold, why did it suddenly rain? I found a secluded place, and it seems quite far away. Kinemia Leon observed her surroundings, saying, and as the Duchess said, the atmosphere here is indeed chaotic. My dress, she thought. I might as well just stay inside here. In the distance, a young couple, seemingly happy, were playfully teasing each other. Kinemia Leon watched them with envious eyes, thinking, they look so happy. Perhaps I'll never have that kind of love in my life. Kinemia Leon felt a pang of sadness. I should return to the ducal castle now. Although my dress is a little wet, it doesn't matter because I'll be leaving soon. She decided to go back, even though the rain was still heavy. Kinemia Leon looked at something in surprise. My dress. Her dress was caught between the pillars. Kinemia Leon tried to pull her dress out, lamenting, how unlucky. Nothing good ever happens. She kept pulling, but the dress wouldn't come loose. She was annoyed. Why won't it come out? Something seemed to catch Kinemia Leon's eye, and she turned her head curiously. The ceiling, Kinemia Leon thought in terror. It looks like it's about to collapse. Then she shouted, "Help! Someone help me! Hello! There's no one around here at all." It seemed that this place was too remote, so no one could hear Kinemia Leon's cries for help. She closed her eyes, pleading in fear, "Please, someone save me." Out of a self-preservation instinct, Kinemia Leon covered herself with her hands, a look of disappointment on her face. The scene above her an unspeakable mess. The glass shattered, fragments floating in the air. Kinemia Leon was extremely worried. How could this happen? Wait a minute. Someone who could do this, someone like this, could it be? Kinemia seemed to anticipate something. She turned her head. Could it be? Outside the dome, the rain poured down. Looking at the shards of glass floating in the air, Kinemia stood motionless. Her eyes were vacant. In the distance, there was a blurry figure of a tall man. Her gaze flickered slightly, a hint of surprise crossing her features. Looking closely, it was the face of her familiar bodyguard, Ian. Ian slowly walked into the rain. He was surrounded by a shimmering flow of magical energy. He waved his hand, casting a spell. The glass fragments around Kinemia seemed to understand, parting to make a path for him to reach her side. He stopped in front of Kinemia. Ian spoke first. "Mia, do you remember?" "Yes, I remember." Hearing her answer, Ian's face flushed slightly. He reached out his hand, then paused as he saw the magic seeping from his glove. Ian burned it to ashes without hesitation. His bare hand gently stroked Kinemia's hair. "Mia, you haven't changed at all. You're still so beautiful." His eyes clearly revealed his infatuation with her. Then, Ian couldn't help but hug Kinemia tightly. She softly asked him, "Are you really Ian?" He didn't answer, only whispering her name. "Mia, I missed you." Ian's words shocked her. In an instant, many questions about him flooded her mind. "You haven't contacted me at all in these 5 years, and now you say you miss me. What are you really doing? Why are you able to appear at this time? Have you been watching me? Since when?" Since when? Ian was still lost in his own emotions. "I've always missed you. Truly, I've missed you so much." Hearing this, Kinemia became even more confused. "If you could appear like this, then why didn't you ever reply to my letters?" She pushed him away, leaving Ian somewhat stunned. "Mia," he called softly. Kinemia just lowered her head. She replied indifferently, "I'm leaving, going back to the hall." "Oh my, who is that gentleman?" "I don't know. I've never seen him before." The ladies gossiped as they saw the man who had just entered. One boy seemed to recognize the man's identity. "Oh, I'm going crazy, no? Why is Regis here?" Another person chimed in. "Regis? You mean the next candidate for the Magic Tower Lord? Why would such an important person be here?" Ian had been slowly following Kinemia since he entered the hall, but for some reason, he seemed to be focused solely on the Duchess, indifferent to the surrounding gossip. Ian obediently followed only her. What happened between them? But the whispers grew louder, causing Kinemia to frown in displeasure. She turned her head, looked at Ian's lost expression, and silently scolded him. "Really? Why are you following me with that gloomy expression? Everyone is looking. You look like a puppy that's done something wrong and is waiting to be scolded, not at all like you're waiting for a dance." Kinemia walked towards Duchess Rosslyn. "Duchess, perhaps I should return to the Grand Duchy now. It was an honor to speak with you today," she replied gracefully. "Likewise, Duchess," Duchess Rosslyn replied. But then she leaned down and whispered playfully in Kinemia's ear, "I've noticed you're indifferent to everyone else. Is it because you already have someone in your heart?" Kinemia shyly denied it. "No, it's not like that," she said with a playful smile. I understand completely. This is youth." Just as Kinemia was about to leave, Duchess Rosslyn's voice rang out behind her, calling, "Oh, it's time for the dance. Why don't you stay and dance with the handsome Regis before you go? Look over there." Kinemia turned her head curiously. It seemed that Sir Regis was also very much hoping for this. Ian just stood quietly in the corner, but he also attracted the attention of those around him. He had a slightly embarrassed expression, but also clearly conveyed an attitude that didn't seem to be one of waiting for a dance. Duchess Rosslyn didn't miss this opportunity and tried to signal to Ian. He received her signal with some surprise. But then Ian also decided to extend his hand in front of Kinemia. He knelt on one knee and said sincerely, "Please allow me the honor of this dance." Duchess Kinemia was caught in a dilemma. What should I do? I don't want to dance with Ian at all right now. She hesitated under the expectant gazes of Duchess Rosslyn and the other young ladies. Kinemia pondered to herself, feeling troubled. How can I refuse? I don't want to make enemies. But in the end, she agreed, with pleasure. In the spacious hall, under the glittering crystal chandeliers, the dance partners lined up neatly, ready to begin the dance performance. They all bowed to each other, following formal and elegant classical etiquette. Kinemia also gently placed her hand in Ian's. The melodious strains of the violin echoed, the music seeming to seep into the very soul. Dance partners twirled, skirts swirling with the rhythm. Each step blended seamlessly with the tempo, weaving a vibrant ribbon across the dance floor. Kinemia and Ian, too, answered the music's call, stepping into the swirling vortex of the dance. Throughout the dance, Kinemia kept her head lowered, as if avoiding him. Finally, Ian spoke. "Mia, how have you been? Do you really want to know?" She retorted. Kinemia's icy tone brought unconcealed surprise to Ian's eyes. She continued, "It's a joke. No replies, not a single contact in 5 years." Her voice trembled, and Kinemia could no longer hold back the tears welling in her eyes. "I'm incredibly disappointed.